6 o'clock.
Sheriff's Office testing radios and pagers at 1800 hours.
We'll bring this meeting of the New Carlisle City Council to order. Welcome administration, audience, and the rest of council. And with that,
All right, Mayor Cook,
here,
Councilwoman Grove,
Present.
Councilman Bond,
Here.
Councilman Shammy,
Here.
Councilwoman Wright,
Here.
Councilman Lindsay,
here.
and Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Here.
We'll have the invocation with Chief Trustee.
Father, we thank you for the day and all thy many blessings and many favors and this wonderful, beautiful weather. Please be in this meeting, Father. Let thy perfect will be done. Bless our troops, our first responders, and their families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, we have no action on the minutes, no communications, no city managers' reports or committee reports. I guess we'll go to the comments from the public.
You've never been nervous before, but I'm always nervous. Should I stand up or sit down?
Back there, back there.
Oh, like this.
Name, address, social security number, birthday.
I'm not that bad. Come on, man.
Yeah, my mother's, thank you, Ray.
Mother's name, what school I went to, my dog, first dog's name.
No, we don't care about any of that, just the O stuff.
That's it. Marshall Gorby. Hey, I'm here for the, to talk about Heritage of Flight. We'd like for the city to help us out a little bit more with budget for law enforcement. Just so you know, the priority of Heritage of Flight is to make sure that it's a good festival and that the city is protected. As you know, times have gotten different. They're changed. From our first festival, we really had hardly any law enforcement at all other than a city deputy. And now the fact that people are going and running into churches and shooting and setting things on fire, our biggest fear is something that could happen here in the community of New Carlisle. If you were here Friday night, you would realize that there were so many people there. Even if a hint of a gunfire went off, there'd be so many people trampled. We really would have a hard time. And Chief did everything he could to be prepared for that kind of situation. We've been very fortunate that we have not had that kind of situation. We had a gun scare last year, but it was just a young man that bought a toy gun that somebody thought was real. We got it taken care of very quickly. The Sheriff's Department did a great job of doing that. But our biggest concern is we want to make sure this community is taken care of and protected, and we will still do that. As you know, Flight is all volunteers, and everything we get comes from businesses and our sponsors that help us out. For protection on the streets, Roy Kegley brings up the Goodall trucks, and he'll park them to block off Main Street. And that's what we do. Because we want to make sure nobody gets through. We get water barriers. Jim Bobo brings his own forklifts up and moves those water barriers to make sure, because my biggest fear is somebody getting a run on 235, coming down Main Street and plowing into people. So we will always do that. I mean, we will make sure the city is protected. We don't mind paying in the money, but it was almost $14,000 for law enforcement this year. Our second most expense is for porta potties, believe it or not. But if we didn't have the porta potties, people would be going to businesses. Businesses would be upset, and they'd be upset with us. And they wouldn't, then we lose whatever sponsorship. And our biggest thing is to get people to come to the city and our businesses to be open. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do. But the more help that we get, the better off we feel. And our biggest concern, like I said, is the citizens of New Carlisle. We try to keep it as safe as possible, but we use a lot of our own stuff. I mean, we have another couple of members of the committee that bring their trucks, their trailers, and block them to block side streets so we don't have to worry about that kind of situation. We're not asking for a lot. We're asking just for the situation of added protection to make sure the citizens are protected, because we try to separate ourselves from Park Lane and Bethel Township. Nothing against those communities, but if something goes wrong there, first thing they bring up is New Carlisle. Lowell McLaughlin used to come in when I worked for the newspaper and say, Marshall, please tell them it's Bethel Township, not New Carlisle, that something's happened. And we did that. I mean, the new Sun changed it to, that kind of situation. But first time something were to happen in this community, then it would be, I don't want to go to that place. It's crazy. It's not safe there. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to ask for a little bit more help so we can keep the protection there all the time. You know, deputies up and down the street. When people see the deputies, they're a little bit more cautious. Kids slow down a little bit, you know, and things just seem to work a little better and a little smoother. We've got Chief out on down front of the 101 building, so they feel safe. They know if something happens, they can go and the fire department will take care of them right away. And it's a great central location for us. So that works out really well. And of course, the sheriff's department's there also. But what we'd like to do is just ask the city if we could get a little bit more help paying for law enforcement so that we can keep the citizens of New Carlisle safe. Now, this thing was started by, Bob Bender, city manager. I don't know if everybody knows Bob Bender, but he was the one that, it was him, and there was about 30 of us here at the time, and he made me president of the Heritage of Flight Festival in the beginning. And like I said, we didn't hardly need any protection. Of course, we had it at Smith Park the first time, and then we had to move it to Main Street because there really was no way for strollers and stuff to get around at Smith Park. So being on Main Street, we're right out there in the open for everybody to see. And nowadays, that's just not safe. So what I'd like to ask you guys to consider is consider putting a little bit of the budget money in for us to have more law enforcement. It won't be for rides. It won't be for vendors. It'll just be for law enforcement, for the community and the citizens of New Carlisle. That's what we're after. We don't mind doing the work we do work. Those 3 days, we bust our butts out there. I mean, we don't go home. We get there 7, 8 in the morning. We don't go home till 11, 12 o'clock at night. We clean up. We're lucky we got ROTC from Tecumseh and FFA that helps out. But we don't mind putting that kind of energy into it, but there's a lot of times we just feel more comfortable knowing that we have more law enforcement. And we will, like I said, we'll pay as much as we can to keep deputies here, with or without the city's help. I'm not saying you wouldn't help us, but I'm saying we know how important it is to us to make sure everybody's safe. Mike, Jim, you have anything? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
How much money are you guys looking for?
Well, it'd be a good question. Mr. Bobo is our finance person there.
The total cost, I think, this year was, right at $15,000 for the police protection. Total is what it says in the, that's the entire festival cost, and it's all broke down per officer, per deputy. So we were looking to something like that, maybe just, you guys could cover the whole cost, we'd be able to take the money and, a part that we do pay for part of it. We reimburse the city and have over the last 4 or 5 years that I know of. Reimbursed either the sheriff's department, the Ohio State Patrol, or someone. But we'd like to be able to take that money and do a little bit more with it. And it's really important, like Marshall was saying, that the safety of the people is what's really important.
Yeah.
But we'd like to take, if we can have some more of that money, access to it, if we have an off year or something, we're not liable for it. I mean, we're right, we usually spend everything we have, is what I guess I'm getting at.
What's the green total for everything?
I don't know. I haven't added that up. Last year it was $82,000 is what we spent.
For our festival.
Yes.
I know it's hard to believe, but that's what it comes down to.
And you're looking for 50,000 for law
It
enforcement?
wouldn't be the whole 15, because you.
Oh, you said 15. I thought you said 50.
Oh, no.
I was like, holy cow.
Well, if you've got that extra laying around.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Sold. You heard her.
No,
We'll take it.
15. We do reimburse, like I said, part of that.
Okay.
So,
15.
are you done now?
Yes.
So how much are you looking for, Mr. Bobo? Or Marshall, or
It's
Mike?
not really a set number. It's what, I mean, for an example, okay, so most of you, I'm assuming, has been there Friday night. It is packed wall to wall. You can hardly move. So I think Roy was looking for we're just talking 3 deputies for the Halloween night market. That's a few hundred people.
Yeah.
And he's getting 3 deputies. Times our festival times, 5,000 to 8,000 people down there, and we have 4. Yeah. It's not, we're not looking for a set number. It's just anything that we can get to add 1 cop, 2 cops, because we're gonna continue to provide what we can financially. But if you guys think, hey, we could throw in an extra 10 and get 4 more deputies down there to show presence and make people feel more safe, then that's what we'd love to get. If it's 1 deputy, you can, it's really up to you. I mean, we're not giving a set number per se. It's just we would like to, and that's a common thing. Mum Festival, Strawberry Festival, the cities pay for their deputies. The festival organizations are separate from the city, but the cities pay for their patrol officers and security. Like when you see the Nutter Center and they have big events, we checked into this, and you see the cops up on the highway directing traffic. Nutter Center or the event's not paying for that. The city's doing it because they're trying to keep their citizens in that area safe. So It's not a set number, it's just what you guys think you could afford to help us out with.
What, how much does it cost for one deputy for one night? Do you have that
That's
info?
a good question. They're everywhere from $19 to $20, I'm just glancing over this.
You mean an hour?
$20 an hour is what they're charging.
Okay.
Some are $30 right
Three,
now.
Is there 30 in there?
we have a breakdown, 318 for one deputy per his shift, basically, and it just varies.
And the shift is what, 8 hours or
No,
4 hours?
It just depends, this one doesn't list the shift.
Mr. Lindsay, if I could just interject really quick, like many things, the answer is it depends. So, the seniority of the deputy is
Right.
obviously going to be at a higher cost. Now, what we did this year that, as far as that I'm aware of, we've never had a dedicated police chief or police administrator actually study the festival, work with the festival committee. She honestly, her first day on the job,
$7,000
which was about 3 weeks before the festival started, I told her, hey, she did attend a meeting when she was about to onboard, so she had some idea, but she had to essentially give me a security package by the end of the week after studying this. So with very minimal amount of time invested, she did save the total police cost. So when you use detail commander, there's fees that are associated to that. It costs more money to contract law enforcement through their system, which is called detail commander, rather than utilizing your own deputies and giving them overtime. So what we were able to do this year, which we had never been able to do before, was take our own dedicated deputies who know this town, know some of the trouble spots in town and trouble people within the town, and most of them were working doubles the entire weekend. So we're talking 16-hour shifts, for our 5 deputies or 3 or 4 deputies that were doing it. The other thing that we can do with our sergeant that we can't, and we can do with our deputies, is actually what we're gonna do for the Halloween. That's coming at no cost to the city. We're gonna have 3 deputies from 4 to 8 p.m. during the Halloween event. And what we're doing is we're slipping schedules. Instead of somebody showing up at 7 in the morning to work till 3 p.m., they're gonna show up later in the day. The person who's supposed to show up at 7 p.m. is going to show up earlier. And then we're gonna take a person and give them a day off during the week, and they're gonna work on Saturday because we have higher threats on that. So there is ways that we can mitigate the cost. We saved about $2,000 this year, and then even with the estimate, we came in about $1,000 under budget. I think the typical allocation from the city has been around $5,000. We gave $6,000 this year at a good faith effort, because we're also, as I discussed in the Monday meeting last week, this is not unprecedented, but a very unique time that we haven't seen in 75 years in New Carlisle, where we have massive growth going on, and we have lots of people who are looking at our community, but there's other communities that are also developing. So if you looked at Heritage of Flight, like if we're trying to sell a house, as this is our open house. We open up the entire city, we bring the best of our folks out, and we put on a great show, not only for New Carlisle, but all of Western County and all of Eastern Miami County. It's the largest event that there is. So I do think that there's credence to what you're saying, and I want the city to, be as, right there beside you. We'll have a full year this time, where you'll have our police sergeant, our police chief, and myself, that can attend the meetings and methodically, think this out, where the city can, take a little bit of this, the strain off of you guys, so.
Well, we appreciate everything that the city has done. I mean, even before your administration, I mean, we got help from the city, and what you've done this year is, they've worked it where some of the deputies have taken comp time instead of taking money. So they've worked, the deputies are working. We have a great sheriff now. He loves Clark County very much, and he loves this part of town, New Carlisle, because I've talked to him several times, and he said, I'll make sure you're protected no matter what. He said, if I have to come out on my own and I don't get paid, I'll come out and make sure you get protection. So we're very fortunate in that way, and he said he would make sure. Last year, we were shuffling around. Deputies were being gone other places because they were getting more money. They didn't want to come to work here for the money they were getting, so we kind of lost them. So But now Sheriff Clark has done a great job of making sure that they have a lot of deputies and things are taken care of. And we're very appreciative of what you do and what he did and what the sergeant did. She did a great job for being her first time here. Because I went in a couple of times, she looked a little frazzled, and she would, and I would say something, she'd laugh or giggle a little bit, and I think she would relax a little bit. But she was really good and easy to talk to, and whatever we needed, she took care of us. But that's all we want. We just want to make sure the city is protected and taken care of. That is our main concern for any of it. Mike, Jimmy, anything you guys want to?
No, yeah, covered it.
Yeah, we'll still do what we can to provide as many cops as we can. You've seen the crowd. If it's room in your budget to add more police to make it even safer, that's all we're asking.
And I think there's also just one other comment that I failed to mention the first time is, and I think the sheriff as well, I also have had a tremendous, the whole reason we have Sergeant Evans Fisher is because of the sheriff and his administration working with me through multiple meetings to talk about general security of New Carlisle, which is the linchpin, in my opinion, to the future of this city. If you can't lock your front door, nothing else matters. So we could talk about all these big plans, we're gonna go through an extensive budget, but if you can't secure the town, nothing else matters. Why would you wanna live in a place that's dangerous? Why would you wanna attend a festival that's dangerous? So security is, a primal concern. And one of the other things that I do believe is gaining steam at the county, which I don't think it's gained steam in a long, long time, is people are paying attention to Southwest Clark County right now. And it's not just our county. There's a lot of people that are watching us. So this is an investment, your festival is an investment for the entire county. Because there's sales tax that's associated to this. There's folks that are scoping the town out and attending this that potentially could be home buyers in the county paying, $300,000, $350,000 plus for houses in the county. There isn't, we're the town in the county that's growing the fastest right now. So what I hope to do is be able to broker stronger deals with the county that we all pay into property tax in the sheriff's department on top of our police contract. So I'm hoping through good faith and continuing this relationship, the county will also allocate some assets that don't cost the city, because this is such a great event that you guys have been, such good stewards of and have great credibility. So anyways, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, also, I'm sorry to be, excuse me, but the fact that people can walk downtown to New Carlisle, the community's a great walking community, and they can walk downtown with their kids, and they can just have a good time. And, when the kids see those rides come in, or they see us setting up the stage, you hear people yelling at us, like, hey, great, all kinds of great things. And I know the kids love it. The schools work with us, they don't have school on Fridays, so that everything works out. And it works out well for everybody. So, so the kids love it.
Yeah.
But, it's great that you can take your kid and be able to walk downtown, and you can do that anywhere from New Carlisle. You can just walk downtown, and you can walk home. You don't have to worry about being thumped on the head 9 times out of 10. You have a good time, and you come back home. We're just very fortunate.
Mr. Bond?
Just one question. Fabulous festival. Thought it was absolutely wonderful. So where does all the money go that is raised from the festival? The auctions, all of that?
It all goes right back into.
Right back into the
Yes, so
festival, and then it's used for the next year to put the festival on.
It's startup money. We have the other things that Heritage Flight are also involved with, which is also the Christmas parade, the ball drop, those things, we do, and those bring in no money.
So this has to carry.
This carries
the-
The ball
Sure.
drops, the ball drop is just about total loss for it. It's, as a matter of fact, Jim buys the hot dogs, Kathy Spencer buys the buns that we give away and the hot chocolate. And there's, believe it or not, there's like 6 or 7 of us up there at the Legion wrapping hot dogs almost all day, so that we can give the hot dogs away, but it's something that you can do for the city that doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, and that's not there's no criticism
Oh, I
in
know.
that question
I
or
know.
anything,
I'm just letting you know.
I had that question asked, I know, a few weeks ago of me, and I was like, I'm not really sure. I know it
Yeah, our
goes into the
biggest-
festival, but I don't know for sure.
Biggest one is
And-
police, this year 14, Porter Johns is around 5, and the dumpsters. Sound guy, he's our next big expense, $4,500 for the sound guy, and then all of our bands, and then the equipment that we have to, we buy generators, and just equipment to run it all. So,
And I get that same thing, I have a car show, Route 40 car show at Tecumseh, and people, I say, well, where's that money go? Well, it goes to, half of it goes to Tecumseh, our athletic booster, the other half goes to my Christmas parade, which goes to Jim, and that's the money that we use for the Christmas parade. So, you know, we buy inflatables, we buy candy for the kids, I mean, we try to make sure the kids are covered with candy, they come out with bags, and it's, you know, it's a good time.
One of our biggest increases in expenses this year was insurance. It went up from 3,800 almost to 3,800 around $4,900 this year. Jeez. And that does include all the other things, we got off all that stuff. And just to cover our exposure is just.
somebody trips and,
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the, you know, we're getting more people. That's the only question they ask. How many people
What's the
come?
attendance, yeah.
So, and they just base everything off of that. They don't want to know about the revenue or anything like I was always used to in business. They want to know how much dollars.
Mhm.
Now it's just how many people are there.
We said 6 people, but they didn't believe it.
They did. Yeah.
Tried.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Anyone else have anything more?
Anything at all, we'll answer email. Housing.
All right, I guess we'll go to the budget review and discussion.
Mr. Cook?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Dan Rodwald, 1014 North Lake Street. I'm here on behalf of the New Carlisle Baseball Softball Association. I don't want to kind of piggyback off these guys, but I'm here to ask for
More money.
more support from the council and the city. As we see the developments grow, our numbers continue to grow. The association, which is a nonprofit, can't continue to maintain, no offense, maintain the city's infrastructure. Over the last couple of years, we have received funds from the city, from council into the budget. Grateful, but 10, 15,000, when you're talking about a 7-acre park with 5 baseball fields, just doesn't go a long way. I don't know if you guys have noticed, this year's improvements, thank you to the city, was 6 new dugouts. That was $15,000. There's still 4 left to be redone. Last year, when our budget was 10, or 2024 was 10, that put a new roof on the concession stand and did some upgrades inside. There's still a lot more to do. The park was neglected for many years. Well before I got there, even when I got there, it was neglected. The city leased it and forgot about it. Leased it to us, forgot about it. We maintain everything. This year on our own end, we put $12,000 in maintenance, in field maintenance. We brought in 70 tons of field topper. The old lease said that was our responsibility. Infrastructure is yours. Not sure how dirt falls under my responsibility. I can't take the dirt with me if I decide to close up shop. Pretty impossible. We also bought a $7,000 tractor to help keep the park looking good, help mow it on a more regular basis, help with all the trash. Just bought a new gator, or newer gator, last weekend, again, to help keep the park maintained. April just sent me the new lease agreement for going forward, so I will look that over. I apologize, I didn't get it till just now. But as the community grows, as the houses become more and more, we're going to get more and more kids. Last year we had 368 just in New Carlisle. We had Bethel playing with us the last couple years, which actually put our numbers closer to 550. We also expect Medlake, no offense to Medlake, but Medlake is probably going to fold. Financially, they just can't, they don't have it, so we expect to absorb half of their kids. So we're estimating a number between 500 and 600 kids this year. The costs are rising. We haven't raised our fees in 4 years. We are going to have to finally raise fees because our costs are going up and we can't continue to eat. Our sign-up fees cover just the basics to get the kids ready to play. Uniforms, balls, insurance. some chalk and field dry that we incorporate into the sign-up fees. But other than that, everything else is on us, usually generated through the concession stand and sponsorships. We sell banners and team sponsors. That all goes to maintenance of the fields and, upgrades. And I'm not asking, for thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That'd be nice. Eventually, you're going to have to put it in. Eventually, the fences are going to have to be replaced. Fences are 36 years old. They were put in volunteer-wise by the board, like I said, in the early 80s. They were neglected. We're trying to maintain them and fix them as good as we can, but fencing, like everything else, is just continuing to get more and more expensive. The last quote I had for complete redo of all fences in the park was $125,000. That was 2 years ago, so I imagine it's probably closer to $150,000 now. Some of the other things we're looking at asking the city with the new lease is the white building, which is where we keep all the equipment. It has seen its better days. We kind of tape it together, put some screws in it, try to keep it going, but it's definitely going to need either a rebuild or some better rehab above our expertise. Also, some of the outer buildings, the red shed, like I said, the 4 dugouts that we need to get fixed to look like the other ones, so they're all universal. And that's really about it, guys. It's your most visible park. Hate to say it's your most visible park. And to be honest with you, if I never done counts, it's probably your most visited park. From April to the end of June, on an average day, during the week we have 5 games. You're talking 300 to 400 people there. On weekends, when we start games at 10 and go till 6, we're talking thousands in and out of the park. Unfortunately, with the new McDonald's, it took away about 2/3 of our parking on the north side. So, talked to Donnie and Howie about that green space between the park and the development where it's supposed to get bush hogged, and maybe creating some parking down there. And that would benefit the city because then we could close off the parking from Main Street so we don't have problems with access to the water department on weekends. I know we had several issues where cars were parked in front of the exit that do not park. Plus, there's a well house down there that, I'm always afraid someone's going to run into. So it would alleviate that issue, allow those patrons to park on the backside of the park. Like I said, I apologize I didn't get the lease till today. Unfortunately, email that I was sent to is no longer a valid email, but I'll read that this evening.
So what are you looking for in monetary value, you think?
I mean, 3 and 5 year plan, I do 3 and 5 year plans. I don't do next year plans. So if you're asking me what would I like for the next 3 years, I would like our yearly budget to be increased to 15 to 20, and understanding that there might be years where I don't spend 15 or 20, so that rolls over to the next year, just like it did from 2024 to 2025. But over the next 5 years, the park is going to need a facelift that is substantial. It's going to, like I said, the fencing. It doesn't need all new fencing. The posts need to be reset, and it will need new fence. Like I said, the fence is 36 years old. It's well past its life expectancy. The minor things, the dugouts and stuff, the way we've done it in the past, Bill. Bill? Yeah, Bill. Is I pay for it, the park pays for it, and then the city reimburses us.
Okay.
That's way you can ask Colleen. That's what we did with the roof 2 years ago. That's what we did with the dugouts this year. And we're okay with that because we can afford that. Some of the larger things like the fencing, like if the white building does need some major rebuilds.
What is the white building? Is that the concession?
No. That is the equipment room. There's something that city has on there too that they have to have access to. It's your guys' building. It just sits on the baseball park. No, the only 2 buildings on the park that we put on ourselves is the red shed that's down there. It's been there, I bet you it's been there 20 years. And then behind the white building, we got a donation from the Eagles about 4 years ago, and we put a metal building back there. It's where we keep all the equipment. It's where we keep all of our mowers, our chalk, our field dry, our catcher's equipment, our balls, everything like that. But like I said, it's something, we can't take that stuff with us. We can take the equipment with us, but we can't take the buildings, In our eyes, and the previous administration had agreed, that was deemed infrastructure. And we were not responsible for infrastructure.
So did the city pay for that building then?
Which one?
The metal one?
No, we paid for that. We bought that 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
This was before the new lease was signed 3 years ago. We signed a new lease, a 3-year lease 3 years ago, and before that, we were responsible for everything. We still, we do all the mowing. Thank God we have a volunteer who mows for us for free, but it's our mower, it's our gas. The city doesn't really, no offense to the city really doesn't do much. You guys do give us a dumpster, greatly appreciate it. That was something that was worked into the lease 3 years ago, because technically it still is a city park. So under the Rumpke trash agreement, all city parks and buildings get free dumpsters, so we were able to work that into it. And we get water. Which, we don't go through a ton of water. We don't water the fields, we don't water the lawn, so they're just to wash the dishes.
Okay.
Do you have anybody on your board that is able to write a grant? Because like Springfield Foundation would be a good place to get the fencing.
No.
No.
There's 5 of us.
Oh, there's just 5 of you? Yeah, that would be a good idea, but I'm good.
But here's
Some money.
Not having, the park not being our property, most grants won't, like, we applied for a Dix grant a couple years ago.
It will. I
but-
get them for the community garden, and we don't own that property either. So, yeah, you can still get them.
But that, the city doesn't own that either, right? That's through the school. School owns the
Right.
community garden. When it comes to city property, there's obviously other avenues, other legal remedies that have to be gone through. And that's why when we have work done, I pay for it versus the city, and then the city reimburses. Because, you get into bidding rights and have to be put out for bid and things of that
Right.
nature. This was just an easier way. And like I said, I'm happy with that agreement when it comes to small things. Roofing a concession stand, building some dugouts. But as we get the smaller items done, the bigger items are going to have to get eventually looked at, and that bill cannot be written, or check cannot be written by our association.
Okay.
We are, by law, we can't have more than $10,000 on our books at the end of the year, or we'll lose our 501c3 status.
Right.
So,
How much is a dugout?
dugouts this year were a little over 4,000 apiece. And they're gonna go up. Lumber just
You got
went,
3 more to go?
I got
Or
2
4?
fields, 4. I got 4 total dugouts,
Okay.
2 fields. Luckily, the guy who built them for us, volunteered a lot of his time. So material was, just over 10, and then he cut his cost in basically half. And we had them demoed for free. We hung up some banners for a demolition company, and they came out and knocked them all down for us for free. So, which would have been about $3,500. And demo cost for 6 masonry block dugouts.
Anyone, go ahead.
Yeah. So I've actually worked for quite a few nonprofits, and I'm just wondering if you guys like try fundraising or anything. And for the record, I'm just throwing this out there as an idea. I am not taking responsibility away from what I think the city should be doing for that being a city park. I just want to make that clear. But for like all of your equipment and stuff, have you considered doing a fundraiser or even just passing out flyers?
We've tried, so fundraising has been tried. I've been on the board now, this will be my 10th year coming up. We've tried several different fundraisers
Okay.
over that span.
Yeah,
And
they're very hard.
extremely difficult. And most of our feedback is just charge me an extra $10 or $15. Let me get out of the fundraiser part of it. Because when you're asking a parent, especially in today's day and age, to pay for a kid, and then on top of that, we need you to fundraise. It becomes a slippery slope. And when you're competing with other organizations that are fairly close, like a Tip City, who's Kyle Park, if you guys have never been out there, is beautiful. And I'm not saying we need to be Kyle Park, because that's not feasible. But Northwestern has a very aggressive organization, and they have a nice park. Graham out in St. Paris has a nice organization. Even Donaldsville has one now. They're only maintaining 2 fields, and the township does give them much more help than they want to let on. Like, they mow it for them and everything else. So, we had tried fundraising, yes, but what we realized is most people would buy out of the fundraiser. So that's when we just said, okay, let's just increase our cost per kid.
So what about just passing out flyers to people coming to the park if you have 400 to 500 people coming every week, asking them if they would...
Flyers, like a GoFundMe?
No, just like asking them if they would donate towards equipment and stuff, even if they're just coming as audience members, just saying, hey, we're a nonprofit, just educating them. Have you tried something like that?
No, we haven't. And to be honest, most of our parents will say, I've already paid my fees. That's, we've tried to ask people to volunteer in the concession stand.
There's more people than just parents showing up to these baseball games, right?
Parents, grandparents,
Yeah.
aunts, uncles at most. Like I said, we've asked people to volunteer in the concession stand to help cut our costs, because we do pay for our workers in the concession stand. And Marshall can speak to this. He's been around actually probably a lot longer than I have down there, especially in the beginning. It's, not to be blunt, it's like pulling teeth to get people. Once they pay their fee, they think they're done.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that is just a sign of the times.
I go to church, I know how it is.
They show up, they pay their fee, they watch their kid, they go home. And I wish more people would get involved. We constantly are posting about, hey, you want to join the board? Come get it. But someone's got to join it, because I don't even have kids that play there. I haven't had a child that's played at New Carlisle in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I've been running it for 3 years.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Just like these gentlemen here. I mean, they do it for the love of the community, and they truly do enjoy it. And I do enjoy it too. Yeah. And I want the park to be successful, and I want it to look better when I leave than what it was when I found it. And when I found it, it was good. The president at the time was fantastic. He had dug us out of a major hole and had done tremendous work with what resources he had. And we as a community and as a city need to take it to the next level. Because it's going to get more kids. It's going to get more eyeballs.
Yeah.
And just like Donnie said, as people look to move into this community, they're going to look around and see what the community has to offer. What's its parks look like? What's its shops look like? What's its restaurants look like? What's its baseball park look like, since it is literally the closest park to both of those developments?
Yeah.
What's its pool going to look like? They want to make sure that their kids, if they move here in the summertime, their kids have a safe place to go play, have fun, and make sure it's safe.
Absolutely. I really do appreciate what you do. I love baseball myself. Go Guardians. Actually, the Indians. Sorry, guys. But I love what you do. Thanks for bringing baseball to the community.
Oh, I didn't bring it. I'm just the next cog in this vicious cycle.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Someone will replace me eventually.
You're just a messenger.
I am.
Thank you for keeping it going. There you go.
Really quick, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Rowell, I have a lot of respect. I know what you do out on those ball fields. My kids have very much benefited. Not only is it a quality park, but it's a safe environment with very good people that are very good stewards of our citizens' land and the resources that are out of the ball fields. It is a gem of our community, without a doubt. You have been on my list for about 3 weeks. We had a couple things happen in town recently. I don't know if you're paying attention. The budget being one of them. I do have a commercial sponsorship that is looking to invest in the community and do some community projects. I just wanted to talk with you and connect those dots. So, copy all of everything you've said here, but if you could follow up with me
Yeah.
later this week.
Well, you call me, I'm always available. You give me a call when you have a minute.
Okay. Mr. Moore or
Mike
Mr.
has a minute.
will be reaching out.
That would be more than a
I
minute.
did softball tournaments for years.
Yeah.
And so I have some corporate opportunities for you as well.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor,
We've been thinking about you as well.
I'd like to say that Dan's done a great job. We don't always see
Yeah.
eye to eye, but he has done a really good job down there. It's battling to get coaches. Everything is a struggle. Dan's come out of the concession stand, umpired the game, gone back to concession stand. I mean, it's not easy. All the parents don't want to help, but they all want to complain. And he gets the
Yeah.
brunt of that.
They do that.
So he's done a really good job. And I have to say that he speaks the truth about trying to get people to do things to help
Yep.
out. Some of them, people slow down to about 5 and shove their kid out, and, you know, they're there for an hour. So, but that's just the way the world is
Babysitting
sometimes.
centers.
And the sad part about it is that it's not getting any better.
Well, we hope it gets better. That's all we can do.
Well, we do, and, you know, based upon what I'm hearing, maybe at some point in time, we can get it jacked up.
Let's hope.
I have one more question if I could. How much, you said you pay your concession workers?
Yeah,
How much do you pay them?
they get $8 an hour cash.
Okay.
And then we pay all the
No
umpires.
taxes withheld?
No.
Okay.
And then, or we pay all the umpires.
Here in the city.
You know, we usually use sanctioned umpires. Last couple of years, it's been hit or miss because, you know, we fall into the high school season. So, you know, it's early on, it's a struggle. And then when high school season's done, a lot of the sanctioned guys want to go do action league or tournaments where they're getting paid
Berliner.
$110
Right.
for a game, and we pay 65.
That's still really good for.
It is. I feel, you know, we're much more competitive than, we actually were paying 80, and the other leagues that we play with asked us to lower it because we were stealing theirs. So, you know, we lowered our umpire fees, so we quit stealing their umpires. We stole several from Tip City, which I'm fine with that. I'll steal them. You know, but Med Lake and Donaldsville, they're organizations we play with. Their kids and our kids all go to school together. They're all part of the CUMSA. So, you know, it's one, we try to be, you know, I wouldn't say a family, it's almost like a, you know, stepsister, stepbrother type of, really. You know, you get along when you need to, and other times you might put a knife in their back. But, you know, so yeah, everything, once the season starts, is on us with the concessions. And concessions were great. Last year was a little hit and miss, unfortunately, with the McDonald's. You know, but we anticipated that, and we had 11 rainouts. So, you know, that cost us. You know, but, you know, we'll get through it. But what I'm just asking for is continued support. You know, we've had support from the city.
Sure.
You know, just continued support, and maybe look at other ways we can increase that support when it comes to the infrastructure side of it. You know, the day-to-days, you know, we will continue to maintain. You know, I was just down there Sunday dragging the fields. I try to drag them at least once a week, keeps the weeds down, because Howard will tell you we're not allowed to spray any weed to gone or anything down there.
Gone dish soap and
Don't worry about if the gators got headlights. No, we don't. We truly don't. We will use Howie and Bob, who Bob's been a tremendous help. You know, they gave us some mixtures that the EPA allows. So we spray the fence lines. And like I said, the only way to keep the weeds down in the fields is drag them.
Yeah.
Drag, and then drag some more. And let the kids play. Yes?
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Did McDonald's ever donate anything to you guys?
They donated $10,000.
Okay.
Which was great.
Because I know early on they said they were going
Yep,
to.
no, they actually $10,500 to be exact, which we used some of that fund to offset the cost of the dugouts. And buy some new catcher's gear. Catcher's gear right now is about $300 a pop. Balls right now around about $7 a ball. Yeah, it adds up quick. And like I said, we've held our sign-up fees for 4 years because, times are tough. We understand this. So we will keep it as close to the vest as we can, without, costing ourselves money. But like I said, dirt this year, for the season was $7,000. We had field 1 completely topped with about 6 inches of field topper and all the fields churned and leveled. And then, I don't know if anyone noticed, but we had field 3 and 4, which are not the smallest of the field, but the 2 other small fields, topped in about 3 weeks now, with about 40 tons. So another 8 inches on those 2, leveled and so. And then it'll cost us about $2,000 in the beginning of the season. We'll have the fields churned again in the spring. Helps pull the weeds and gets all the dirt from being settled all winter, soft and powdered. So. And then lights. Marshall, you were there when we put the lights up. Yep. That's about $10,000 out of our pocket. On field 2.
A lot of that work was volunteered.
A lot of that work, well, most of us volunteered, between Custom Way and
All right.
us.
Did you
Thank
get
you, sir.
the LED lights when they
McDonald's
came
did
to
help
city?
out with Heritage of Flight. They also donated
You
money.
shoulda.
We did it.
That's awesome.
They're a good
Our
community.
lights we have on 2, we bought from Bottom Electric.
Okay.
He got a really good deal on some parking lights, parking lot lights.
Taco Bell
So
should be
we-
the same.
Virgil Butler, who kind of owns.
No, they don't.
Built all the brackets for us.
Should just give us free tacos.
We're the only parking.
So the electric you do pay or you don't
We
pay?
pay the
You do pay. How much is it a month? Level
During
bill?
peak level billing, it's $161 a month,
Jeez.
but it'll go down. So once June hits, we spike because the air conditioner and the concession stand gets turned on. We play more night games. So June, July, and August, our electric bill goes up, and then once they reevaluate our peak, then we drop back down.
Okay.
Our electric bill, for most part, from January through April is like $30.
Yeah, 30. That's
Because
good.
there's nothing running. There's no heat in there. There's literally nothing running at the ballpark, except for the security cameras
Okay.
and the alarm system.
All right.
But once we start everything up, turn everything on, our concession stand is, to be honest with you, state of the art. It's all stainless steel. We have invested tons of money into the concession stand. I think Mike saw it one time. It's very nice. I would put it up against anyone's concession stand, including Action Sports. I will. We have, everything we have is commercial. Luckily, what I do for a living allows me to find customers who may have something that they don't need no more that I could use. So, I either buy it on the low end or sometimes it gets donated to me. I just bought a new slushy machine Sunday out of Columbus.
You're not getting it.
April wants it.
It needs new seals.
She's always cold, but she wants a slushy machine.
Oh, the greatest thing ever. We can talk.
Right, it'll be outside your office.
Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah,
You want to get into the budget sessions before we adjourn?
Yes, and I'll just very quickly preface this. So I think we have a couple new people who haven't gone through a budget meeting yet. Obviously, this is my first budget season. Several meetings to lead up to a meeting, like everything in the government, it seems. But no, we sat down, Colleen and myself, with every department head, along with the executive staff meeting, and we're gonna try something a little bit different. Because we're in this kind of very unique time in our city's history, I would advise you is to kind of have a theory of where we're at right now going into 2026. We have major investments that are happening right now. Houses are selling, new families are coming into town. And if we were running a business out of our house, typically the old saying is you gotta spend money to make money. And that's true, almost always. I don't know any other way unless it just falls from the sky. So this has been, in my short-lived 7 months, in my position, it's incredible. I mean, we are doing things that, Howie was busy way before you guys decided to pull the trigger on these developments. And now he's overseeing 2 massive developments that are going on within our community, on top of what he was already busy with. The amount of permits that we have to process right now. So, one of the things that you're gonna see through this budget is I met with every single department head and I tried to cut as much as I possibly could. Thinking about the family at the dinner table. There's years that you can go to Disney World in the ocean and a decent vacation, and there's years that you should batten down the hatches and conserve your money. But there is those families that'll still go on those vacations on a credit card, and as long as I'm in this position, we will not do that. That is a panic button, emergency type of situation, where we have to go in the rears to be able to provide for our community. So as I went through this budget, I applied kind of that theory and looking at every single line item in every single department. Now, the one thing that we'll kind of wait to the end, if we can make it tonight, is to talk about personnel, which I believe is our most valuable resource within this community. And that extends well beyond my staff. It's our residents, it's our constituents, it's the folks who have businesses here and invest in here. But the human resources side of things, I would say, is probably our weakest link right now. We're massively expanding the size of the city while slowly adding personnel and bodies and different things like that. So just so you guys kind of understood my mindset when I sat down with Colleen, my first go through, and we did get through it in a couple hours. So I'll leave it to her to go ahead and steer the ship from here, and I'll pipe in, just to make sure I'm still awake.
That coffee should help.
Yes. Ready for a break first.
You fall asleep, we'll sit people on you.
You don't want to stay for this
Want to
part?
stay? This is the exciting part.
This is the best part.
I'll watch it on TV.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
Don't get this channel.
Mike and Dan want to fall asleep, apparently.
C-SPAN.
You guys want
I know what I'm in for.
to, right, you did.
So what we'll do, like we have in previous years for the ones who are seasoned, I'm gonna just skim coat it. I'm not gonna read every line item, I'm not gonna go into all that detail, we'd be here for days.
Forever.
But once we get through each fund, we'll have questions. And so just hold them if you can. So the revenue, we start out with the general fund, that's our, our largest fund. And as we go through all these different revenue sources, we pretty much stay on track from history that gives us the revenue, plus what we also get reports from the auditors. Now, something different for 2026 is that we will be receiving back, hopefully, our lead pipe grant money that we funded for the START bank account for the lead pipe program. So I believe it's gonna be done at the end of this year.
Before the end of the year,
Yeah.
supposed to have everything closed.
So that'll put 500,000 back as revenue for the general fund, and if we start selling the columbariums, then we do owe the general fund that amount back of 76,740. We don't have it, we just put it off for another year. That brings the revenue source for $2,802,975 for general fund. Going through the expenses, we go through council. I don't have any changes there other than, I think, the little increase that we had for your backup and yours. So nothing under wages that are different. Most of the budget here for council is the same. They put in the strategic planning in case you decide to have that again next year. You have a new city manager, and we put it in case you want that. The rest of the expenditures, we cut back a little, we increased based on our history. It brings your expenses for council at $72,953. Going to the city manager, and the wages and the benefit packages for the wages for the manager come in at $367,000. Now, that is for 2 full-time employees. That would be the administrative assistant and your city manager. 1/4 of the assistant city manager, which is Howie, he spreads his out over different departments, and 1/2 of a possible new hire that the city manager and the finance department will share. That's what comes into this amount for wages. Transportation, travel, about the same. There were some plans for getting some training in this year, so we kept the same as we had in This is 2025's current budget. This is 26. Nothing else in there that really stands out, so with the new hire and wages, that brings the manager expense to $391,000. Going into finance, the finance wages are at $531. That consists of possibly the one shared administrative between us and the manager. And then I have 4 people in my department that total amounts. Training, contract tax collection service. This is for CCA. We did have an audit review and was refunded quite a bit in 2024. I believe we're gonna have a little bit more in 2025, that should lower, but I put the same amount in case there is not. That is your fee for that service, less than 1 employee. Going down, nothing else is out of the norm. That brings the finance department up to $758,000. Planning, their wages are at $203,000. That is for 1 full-time employee and 1 part-time code enforcement, and we also put 1 of our seasonal workers in this salary. Training, travel, comprehensive plan, most of these expenditures, some are a little bit less, a little bit more, pretty much in line from last year. They do have a $20,000 capital. That we'll review real quick for planning is for, possibly a used service vehicle. And because that is in there, we tried to present this last year, adding another code enforcement. There is a potential new code enforcement added, but you'll see that in the mayor's court expenses. And then that vehicle would be to share between the 3, Brian and the 2 code enforcements. They'll have 2 vehicles.
Can I interject just really quick on this one? So, like I said, we'll talk salary stuff, later in the meeting and things, but one of Brian's objectives that I put on top of him is I want to see the planning department completely self-sustaining through their own funds through mayor's court. So part of that investment is you got to spend money to make money, right? So right now with 1 part-time code enforcer, I got a planning director that's trying to help me with a code rewrite and a comprehensive plan while also serving as the person managing mayor's court and an additional backup as a code enforcer. So I need another body to be able to stabilize mayor's court, elevate our part-time person who's more than qualified to help manage the more of the minutia of the courts. Brian is the one who's sticking stamps on letters and things of that nature. I need to elevate him to more of a strategic level position rather than in the weeds at the tactical level. So we talked about a couple different things we need another vehicle if I'm gonna have another code enforcer. So we're looking to work with our Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealer to see if we can get just a used vehicle, small SUV 4-wheel drive that has low miles. We're not looking for, cream of the crop, a brand new Chevy Silverado or something of that nature. So just to explain that portion there of the back.
Law director, we did increase the amount for Jake and Mr. Danby, all the additional services we have this year compared to prior years. We felt comfortable raising that to make sure we had enough. Parks department is wages is 1 employee with benefits, $103,000. And then Parks department is pretty in line with everything we have this year, expense-wise. On the capital, we've already went over this when they put the capital plan together, but just as a reminder, that's part of a shared side-by-side cart that the street department will be taking care of, and a quarter of a dump truck they would like to purchase next year. That runs $332,000, so here under this year's budget, but a little more than right. Parks and Recs, this one you have a little bit more input in. This amount is for, the special events they've always put in for the park, that'd be Easter egg, and other activities has fallen into this account. And the, movies at the park, get paid out of that line item. Fireworks, we put the same amount. And then we lowered the employee Christmas holiday party. We actually do very well for 25. And that's catered dinner and some little prizes. So we were able to lower that line item then. Under lands and buildings.
Question, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
How much was spent on the Christmas party last year?
We don't have the total in 2024, well, yes, sorry, 2024, $2,598.
The budget is nine grand for 25?
They had 9,000 in it because of, it was raised when we did budget session for employee bonuses and other things, but we decided with the payroll increases that
Okay, okay, thank you.
that was the majority of our conversation. Where you guys stand is different, but
My only other question, fireworks, do we know, we have somewhere to do fireworks this year for sure? I know that was our discussion last year as far as,
We're working on that. Just real quick, there's a couple options, and one is to potentially go in the same spot, but that's removing the 5-inch shell, going down to a 4-inch shell, which is kind of how Kettering does in Delco Park. Yes, the person over on Scarf is probably not gonna see, or Applewood, or whatever, they're not gonna see that shell. But going to 4, it shrinks your safety perimeter. But that's just one possible options, and I know Mr. Hall has been working on, or we've been thinking about what other potentials we might have.
We're looking at some potential just partnerships of some folks, without, throwing out names and things of that nature, of just, other areas, that we could utilize to put on a good show. I think it was very successful this year's firework display.
Yeah.
I will say, when I'm randomly walking around town, what's, easy question, which I would suggest anyone ask, what are your top 3 things you love about New Carlisle? Fireworks seem to make the cut, along with our flag festival.
so we'll leave this up for discussion since it's more of these 3 line items for of your wants. Is there any questions on these?
We don't have a Park and Rec board set right now, to my knowledge.
It started in 24 and.
Well, I understand we have the board, but there's nobody in the board.
So you might.
So we really don't have one. And I can't see us having one in the near future either, because we can't get people to step forward to work on the board and to do events. Unless
I would say
April would like to do that, along with Mike.
Along with everything else.
the most critical, while not mentioned in the charter, was the Social Services Commission, because I have massive human suffering issues that are going on with the community, and I have no social service. I am a social service department, along with my staff that comes in and backfills me and helps me out. So the Social Services Commission, now that that is up and soon to be functioning starting in November, the next thing that I feel obligated is we must make the best effort possible to fulfill the boards that are in the charter. So you have 2 boards, one being the Parks and Rec, the other one being the Tax Review Board. We need to make a good faith effort collectively. These are extensions of your council. So these are things that we are bound by the charter, so I believe that we need to make a good faith effort. I tried to make solicitations, but I extend that to you all as this board serves you, not us. So, whatever we need to do to entice people to want to step up and serve in that capacity. I know we have, a core group of volunteers that I feel like are doing everything within the community, along with people on my own staff that are also serving as volunteers within the community. But I am hopeful for 2026 that we can satisfy the Parks and Rec Board along with the Tax Review Board. We need to make a good faith effort.
My question would be, so there is no money? If that board does get up and running, we're not gonna put any money into the parks this year? No, this says the holiday, the fireworks, and the, special events.
This was the line item that we did have for the Parks and Recs that was created a couple of years ago.
The what, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That line item was for parks.
That is for the parks, 8,000 then,
That's.
for all the events to be had at the park?
Budget, along with the movies and other
Mhm.
things that's
Right.
parks related.
Right.
So that's like, just your events, that's not your maintenance and
Right,
building
right.
disc golf courses and things of that nature. So that would just be the operating budget for, doing an Easter egg roll or something along those lines.
Too high, not enough, what is, any comments?
I guess I just don't understand it, and this is probably not the place for me to understand it, because, if we want to build things and have people love and enjoy our parks, they can't just be as they are right now, because there's nothing going on with them right now. And if we are looking to get a board, you got a board up and coming, and there's no money to do anything with. I mean, yeah, I would still volunteer to do the Easter egg thing. It went over pretty well last year. Didn't cost the city very much money. But most events aren't really like that. They're gonna have an output of some kind. We have a lot of people in our town to satisfy in a big event. So I don't know, it just seems like everything else always gets taken care of, and the parks, which is money that goes towards our citizens, really, more so that they directly see, kinda always falls to the wayside. I asked for 10,000 last year. Actually, I believe I asked for 50 last year. And I did, yeah, and,
It's a different line item.
Yeah, because this
We
is.
will-
okay,
This
Thank
is
you.
hosting events and things
Thank
of that
you.
nature. But I will say, we have a potential project going on right now. We're working on some stuff with ODOT at Hensley Park. I have tens of thousands of dollars that is ready to be donated into the city by non-citizens even, folks that just want to do something nice for our community.
that's awesome.
So much like our Social Services Commission that also has zero budget right now, we're gonna work on that. But part of the board is going to be going out and, like any other nonprofit, and go trying to cash some grants for different things.
Right.
Researching other public works, opportunities to bring resources in, because we just don't have the capacity for it as a staff. But we do have some money allocated there that if we do want to do, some sort of city-sponsored event, but I would be open to, any of the nonprofits or citizens that want to host their own events and do their own
Right.
fundraising and.
And that's what the city relies
We
on
need-
right now,
We need
yeah.
the board and, work collaboratively with council and my administration to,
Right.
think and, plan these events so we can, get some more. But yeah, I know, I was a little confused with that one too. where
Okay.
That's all the money we give to parks.
Well, yeah, because if you're, well, it says special events, and I would like to see a special event every month. Here's Your Flight is a great special event. The Halloween Night Out is a great, we could build on these and make them better, but I would like to see something for the citizens every month. That would be my goal. I won't live that long, but I'll try,
So, I guess my question is to Mrs. Wright. Would you like to see more money here?
Yeah, that's where I was thinking it should be, but if it's somewhere else, that's fine. That is totally fine. But we also need some things to do.
For
the
under
parks
the
play.
special events, for the miscellaneous special events Parks and Rec Board, can we bump that, and this question's to council, can we bump that to 10,000? What does council think?
Let me ask a question. All right, you heard Mr. Roywald asking for more money for the Baseball Association. You've got the Heritage Flight asking for more money for the police department, or for the sheriff protection. I guess where I'm coming from is where are we going to put all of this into the meld. If you've got X amount of funds coming for the sheriff's department for that Heritage of Pride, that's 15,000, and let's say Dan needs, what'd you say, Dan, 10,000?
I mean, yeah, to complete the additional 4 dugouts.
All right, there's 25,000.
But this year, we have $39,000 budgeted for Parks and Recs board, the total thing, $9,000 for the employee appreciation holiday. Why couldn't we take part of that $9,000 in, that we're not using, and put it, 2,000 of it on, special event? I don't think $2,000 is, in the scope of things, is that huge of an amount. If we get a park committee put together next year and they start doing events.
What if you were to take if the 2,000 that you're talking about, moving it out of the fireworks?
I would be totally okay with that. I personally thought the fireworks were just a tad long. I mean, the kids started kind of getting bored in my area, and we're running around and kind of bored of it. So, I don't know. They weren't really long, but they were just a couple minutes too long.
I was at the baseball park on night, I promise you there was no good board.
Okay, I was too.
It was, I thought it was phenomenal.
So again, my question to council is, what does everybody think?
About adding $2,000 to the,
To the 8,000? Do you want to take it from the fireworks and move it, or do you want to take 2,000 from the 9 that we already have sitting there and stick it over on that?
Probably for the 9.
If I could just interject really quick. I come from a world where when you have a boss and you have a holiday get together, and you celebrate the year and you do appreciation, the boss considerably donates to that event. I have every intention of doing that for this year and our employees. These guys bust their tail for me, and I'm paid a very fair wage, and I plan on giving some of that back to my employees.
one question I have on this, when it comes to what Mr. Roadwall was asking for, is under the parks, we've got 2 line items, maintenance of facilities and maintenance of infrastructure.
And that's where his is taken out of.
It would come out of those 2 accounts.
And you'll see it when we get down to that line item, because it's maintenance of facility, which is our facility. So the special events that we're highlighting and talking about now really is for
Just,
the movie house, the popcorn night, the lunch with the officers, those little kind of.
Donuts with council.
Yeah,
Donuts with council, will be events we do
You can-
downtown.
got that.
Heritage Lake Festival.
Already said we were coming over a long time ago.
Well, let's move on then.
Yeah.
leave it right there.
I actually have a question. So the special events Parks and Rec board thing, that can only be spent if we have a Parks and Recs board, otherwise it just stays there?
There's miscellaneous in that line item, so it can be just in that purpose.
All
We
right.
can, as a staff, like, if you guys had an event in mind, or if you just charge me with, Don, we wanna see more events at the park. you know,
Okay.
I'll work with my team and we'll try to come up with something fun and enticing for the community, and I would tap into that fund to be able to pay.
Well, then I would be okay adding $2,000 to that from the 9,000, but I'd also like to see $1,000 added to the employee appreciation holiday budget.
Again, let's move on. We've spent enough time on this subject.
I say move on.
Okay, all right. Now, lands and buildings, again, general fund, pretty straight down the line, steady, it's a little less than last year. Lands and buildings, capital is for the, shared dump truck and roof on the outside bathroom. And, which facility is that? Thank you. So we're getting down, now we got Mayor's Court, and this is where the increase for the wages came in to put the, potential new part-time code enforcement officer. And again, these part-timers do not get benefits, they're just, a nice 30-hour-a-week assistance. So, it's in Mayor's Court, everything else in Mayor's Court is the same. Comes to 87,000 for their section. Miscellaneous, auditors, grant, fees, treasurer's fees, postage, nothing unusual, same type of expenses we have every year. 138,000, so that came down quite a bit. Last is the transfers. So I only put in 100,000 that we've been routinely doing for the transfer to the street fund, and then 25,000 to the government center. That's been pretty much every year. We just need a little bit for Twin Creeks, and this will be the last year, and it will be paid off. The general obligation fund gets its standard transfer in, and the street sweeper. So our transfers in are 265,000. So now we're at the bottom line. This is where we need to be right now. Balance coming forward is 1.7 million. It will be higher when we close out 2025. But our revenue is at 2.8, our expenses are at 2.9. So we're just a little over on the budget part for the fund, ending in 1.5. So we're done with this fund. Any questions? That was our biggest one, the rest of them was. You good?
Question, did you say the Twin Creeks will be paid off this year?
Yes.
And we're done with all the expenses there?
On Twin Creek?
Twin Creeks, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
After this year, that's last year's debt payment.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
One question. Does that make you nervous, the general fund continuing to come down, ending balance like that?
So when we, look at history, this year's back, 2025. Even when we close out, we're probably gonna have a loss. And 2024, we had a loss. Before that, these general funds have always grown. However, some of the debt that's included in these are these bigger, well, we added a lot more on the street. We added more to the government center. We added 90,000 to the pool. We had quite a bit of transfers versus this year. And there is the loans that we've been doing to get these grants. So yes, I am concerned about it, but it's, this year is coming back. This is a good general fund. Hopefully we get a little bit of this one back, and we're back on the right track.
Okay.
I guess another way to look, I mean, I had concerns with this, Mr. Bond.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at 2025, you got over $800,000 in the rears, but in the red. And we cut that by $600-some thousand this year. Now we get the $500,000 coming back to us. We got the Twin Creek thing. As I said in the beginning, kind of the opening statement and theory of this 2026 budget, 2026 is a tight year. 2027, we have to wait for these new residents who are coming into town an entire tax season before we get anything from them outside of their water. So just keep that in mind, that money is coming, but right now I feel that, it's only prudent to be as conservative as possible with our spending. But yes, I definitely, when you look at 2.8 million and then you look at 1.5 million, if you continue this trajectory, that's concerning.
Even in 2024, when we had an actual, we were using fund balance, right? We haven't had that since 2014. So that was the first time in 10 years that we've spent more than what we brought in. This is gonna be the second year, this current year. And we're trying real hard not to use up just because it's in the budget. We've really pulled back. So I'm hoping this shows about 400, but it's still my best guess with 3 months left, 2.5. It's gonna be a little over negative. This one should come back up. We'd like to see that as 2 mils, what we've always talked about as the minimum. I'll go on, then we can come back if there's any other questions. Street construction, our revenue source is the license, vehicle license and the state gas tax. It's always the same. Wages are the highest part of the street. We don't have any big expenditures this year. We're just building our fund balance. That brings,
Are we still on tap this year for the gas line?
I've already had my meeting with CenterPoint Energy, and they're actually gonna, instead of completing one of the 3 phases, they're gonna complete both phases of the old section and start working outside of it, so, yeah. It's gonna be a very limited asphalt season in the old section this year. Unless they get done in time, and then I will then potentially look at if the budget does come back up at the end of the close of the year, and go, okay, I need, you know what, we can go ahead and do 200, and I could go ahead and start doing that paving with a supplemental. We'll approach that come spring, but we'll see when they get done.
So there is a possibility of doing the streets.
There's always that possibility, but yeah, I was banking on CenterPoint not getting done in the spring, because I don't know how their construction schedule really works.
I've kind of looked at it as like a 3-year project with the historic, areas where, first year we focus on the water lines. I know we still have some bleed over. Second year we focus on the gas lines. Third year we clean everything up. So, the big pitch back is you got brand new water lines, you don't have lead pipes anymore, you got brand new gas lines, and then we've repaved, as many streets as we possibly can in 27 onward. And I told many of you, again, thinking about driving around and measuring a town. When you look at the oldest parts of your town, that is a great measurement for the broader community. If you can't take care of your oldest parts of town, it doesn't breathe a lot of faith into the market. That's why a lot of people are moving to the suburbs when it comes to investments. When you look at your major cities in the Rust Belt, is the inner core has rotted. And what my hope is we're going to revitalize the historic part of downtown. And I think we're heading in that direction. So just think about this year as just we're padding the account to then go big in 27 to really focus on the areas that we ripped up all the streets on.
All right, with the, going into the 3rd year for the overlays on those streets, are we going to be able to have enough money for the side for that, considering the cost increase?
So the old section is gonna take, it's gonna take a couple years on top of that. So if we start in 27, maybe I do get lucky here a little bit in 26, but let's say it's gonna take 27, 28, 29. There's a couple miles in that old section, and like Clay Street, I revisited it. It's got good curb and gutter. Great candidate for an overlay. So that might get done at the end of this year if they get the gas lines done. It's some of Scott Street, Lincoln, they do not have curb and gutter. Part of Scott Street, it's the old square curb, it needs fully replaced. It may take what would be all to resurface Clay, could only do 1 block of curb and gutter of Scott Street. So that concrete's really expensive, so we go, okay, Church Street, how can we focus on our 2 arteries, Church and Clay? got a lot of good curb from Domino's to Jefferson. So I might be able to get that overlaid and clay overlay, and then we go, okay, now we need to do some curb work. Not gonna get any asphalt work done, but you're gonna get all new curbs and, some approaches, and then the next year you come back and you pave all up to that. You're probably talking to do the whole old section. We just quoted, all of Church Street, and we were about just under 5 million. And that's all curb and gutter, new approaches, adding storm, and that's from Domino's to Ladies. That's full reconstruction. But when I went and with the engineer and redid the first section, I'm going, you know what, I got enough curb and gutter. If I did 10%, it'll all look great. I'll mill and fill that. But, no, it'll take a little time, but, we're gonna be a little more creative and be able to work on getting a few streets done before, show that we can pave clay, but don't go do curb and gutter maybe on Scott first, because nobody's gonna see that. We're gonna show them, hey, we got this, like Don said, we're gonna go this, and this, so.
Well, I know this.
No, I think that's great.
It can sound.
I agree. No, I wasn't laughing at that. It was like, no, nobody comes down our road. Don't do our road. That's fine. It's fine. We're, focus on where there's more houses and more traffic. That's right.
And it's two things, I told Howie, I think like in the first couple weeks, like, I need you to put attention on Church. Everybody wants to talk about traffic. The natural bypass of town is Church Street. It's getting pounded by these trucks and the amount of cars and everything else.
Exactly.
And it's also a major thoroughfare, an artery of the city where when people are scoping out this town, they're driving down Church Street. It's nothing against, Church Street, but it is what it is. And, when you're trying to stage a house, are you gonna upgrade your toilet seat, or are you gonna, focus on your granite countertops? Well, granite's selling right now. So you make that investment because it's gonna, raise the appraisal value of your home. So a lot of this has to do, again, with just staging a city to sell a bunch of houses.
Is street construction. State highway. Vehicle license and gas tax, 28,000 is our income, and then we just have a little bit of expense with it. We are growing that fund slowly but surely. 107,000 next year. Street permissive tax comes in 70,000. Some of the wages come out of that only. And that's been steady. Street improvement is where.
Question, ma'am.
100,000. Yes, sir.
I've noticed that on all of these, the medical insurance
Yes.
has almost doubled.
So, under our proposed changes that will be coming across to you with Medical Mutual, they have an 8% talked about increase. These are the cost of the plan. A single employee is $16,800 per year. Employee and spouse is $30,000 for an employee child, and a family plan is $50,000. When I do the wages, I take the actuals that I know of, but we also add any new positions and tentative change of personnel at the family plan. Because, again, these are the not to exceed, and I can't come back and ask you for more money in wages because somebody got married, and now I've got to up their insurance $50,000. The benefits are great here. But Medical Mutual, along with the others, are getting very high.
Okay.
The plan that we have.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Street improvement is, again, this is where your 100,000 is going into now. And we're building that account. We use pretty much, or will be this year, and should be ending 100 going into next year. Ambulance, and this will be, Chief will chime in here in a little bit. We are getting the ambulance delivered in 2026.
Yes, ma'am.
And we just needed a little more time to save for it. We have a lot, but not enough, so we will need to go out for a bond or a loan estimating about $150,000. So that loan payment can be paid back with the two revenue sources for 5 years.
I thought we was banking money every year for a new medic and a new engine.
We are.
Like the engine
And we'll get to the engine. So for
will
the
be here, I think, next year, won't it?
The ambulance account was building up really well. But I don't have enough for the.
$380,000.
It's 289, and then there's the fitting of it. So
Okay.
we have most of it, but without draining the funds, I put the 300,000 for the ambulance costs and 150 for a loan. And then the loan will be paid back off the levy.
And that's buying a, not a custom-built medic, that's buying a demo medic.
We have 177, almost 200,000 by the end of this year towards it. But we didn't want to use all of it and make the fund empty. So it will take a loan, a little bit.
That was my suggestion, and I just didn't want to drain the account. I just thought we'd take out a small loan at a low interest rate.
The fire truck will have enough.
Right.
We've saved longer for it, and we came real close. We just need a little bit of capital out of the operating capital of the fire, and it will be a cash purchase.
So, once this medic is in-house and it's paid for, are we gonna continue saving money for the next medic?
Yes, sir.
Well, it'll pay the loan back if we have to borrow the loan.
Right,
In the next
but-
5 years, the levy money that comes in, that's set, which is capital, we get $34,000. So if we keep our loan payment under that for 5 years, then, yes, in 5 more years, that one will be paid off.
Okay.
What we're
And then
looking,
save it.
what we're looking at is buying this medic now, because we're in desperate need of another medic.
Mhm.
The Dodge medic is well over 200,000 miles on it. It has the old airbag system under the
It keeps
box.
breaking.
Constantly.
And then it's a maintenance nightmare. And then in the next maybe the next year and a half to 2 years, go ahead and sign for a custom-built medic, which will take anywhere from 30 to 32 months to receive.
Mhm.
Right now, they're looking at anywhere from 2.5 to 3 years out on build for medics. You know, just like our engine, we purchased our engine in '22, we won't receive it until '26.
Okay, thank you, sir. Chief.
The fire truck, since we're paying it or keeping up with the fire truck, how long will it last? Will it last
The fire
20?
the fire engine will probably last a good 15 to 20 years.
So we continue that price and maybe we can pay cash for the next medic then, even if it is special
You can't
bill?
take money out of the fire,
That's two
out of the fire
funds,
side to pay
okay.
for the EMS side.
Okay, well, all righty.
Yeah, what we're gonna
Just
have to start
thought.
looking at, what we'll have to start looking at after the new engine on the fire
Yeah.
side is replacing the ladder truck.
Okay.
It's
all right.
21?
2005.
It's 20 years old.
So it's just about out of use according to standards.
Standards, but also too, you take a ladder truck at New Carlisle versus a ladder truck in Dayton or Springfield, you know, we're gonna get a lot more years out of that truck. But just technology and that type of thing.
Thank you, sir. Thanks,
The
Steve.
last ambulance was bought in 2020,
And it already has over 100,000 miles on it.
and it was at 260,000. So that goes down to the ambulance operating and the revenue for the taxes there. Bring in, plus the billing for our ambulance services should bring in just a little under 600,000. And salary wages are pretty much eating up all of that levy money. So this is what we're gonna talk about also. This fund is a word, because it's been going down. There hasn't really been. The cost of the employees versus the lack of E-Town's revenue has flipped it. So the ambulance operating and fire operating both that are supported with the levy are not enough. run it. And we're running out of time.
That's the reason we're wanting to put a out-of-cycle levy on this coming May to raise the current levy. Right now, it's at a 1.5, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Harris, correct me, that revenue generates about 97,000 per side, in one on the EMS side and on the fire side. We need to double that. With our run volume the way it is increasing drastically, and wages, and we're not looking at giving any raises this year at all. It's just cost of doing business.
So you're basically saying a 3% property tax or 3 mil property tax?
Right now, yeah, that's what we're looking at right now, possibly. Me and Mr. Hall have not really sat down and did all the figuring yet.
Do you think that'd be a permanent
It'll be a 5-year recurring levy.
5-year renewal?
We haven't asked for new money in.
I know you haven't, but there's been a lot of critical people about property taxes and so many things, so many people are asking. It's worrisome.
I know.
I know.
It's gonna come down to whether levies take care of us or the general fund's gonna take care of us.
Right.
Because right now, our run volume has drastically went up. When I took over chief in 15, we were running 1,200 calls a year. Last year, we did over 1,600. This year, we're already set to do over 1,700.
Mhm.
And that's without counting any of the new housing.
Right.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Fire capital, their revenue again, your levies, has been, definitely we have been growing this fund in anticipation for our fire truck. And it will happen next year too. That truck's at $537,000, I believe, because we signed up and locked that pricing in. I'm sorry, it's $636,000.
Yeah.
Of which,
I
we have
wish.
537 out of the fire capital, and then out of fire operating, we had to pull the difference. But they're both out of the capital account, out of the fire department, and it's gonna get us down really low, but it's a capital account, so these will stay fixed unless they get increased. So the fire truck will come. Two big things for the fire department. Fire operating, their levies, same as ambulance operating, it's just cost of labor, cost of all the expenditures, it's still got a pretty healthy balance, even with helping to support the rest of the fire truck that we need. But it's slowly going down a little bit on the fire department. Ambulance is the most. Does anybody need a break? Okay. Cook Accords, this is the portion of the fines that go into this fund, it's to pay for the computer hardware. For computerization fund, same thing, a portion of the fines go into this account to pay for their software. Under health levy, our levies bring in a certain amount of money each year, pretty steady, between 59 and 58. And all that money, after the auditors take their cut, we cut the check back to Clark County for the money that we collect. This usually stays as little as possible. We give back everything we get. One opioid settlement, we are now doing legislation to add another settlement to it, so I just am guesstimating. I did not get any figures at this time on what we're receiving, but whatever we receive in that grant is exactly what we pay out to Clark County Commissioners. So it's a zero fund balance. American Rescue Fund is the fund that we got the lead program for in 2025, had nothing for 2026, other than paying back to the general fund the startup money that we borrowed. Everything else gets paid to the contractor, and this account will be zeroed out. Police levy, income tax 0.5%, pretty steady, generating around 700. Right now, we're on track for maybe getting 730, but it depends on the income tax that we collect, so it's not ever an exact amount, but it's pretty close. Under that contract, the big hit is the new contract with the Clark County, adding the sixth deputy, being a sergeant. This one will also have to be very careful with. It is using a lot of fund balance to get the coverage that we need. We will be getting income tax in 2027, but we're gonna have to write 2026 with what we have using a little fund balance. And then our new residents' income should start kicking in for both the general fund and the police. But there's enough to go a couple of years toward that flex, so it's just one to watch.
Question, can I interrupt a second? Where does the money from McDonald's and Taco Bell show up? Where does,
Their employees will get paid into CCA, and
Right.
then that comes in our income tax.
and that's the only thing we get from McDonald's and Taco Bell?
Wages, water.
Just,
Wages,
yeah,
water.
just wages and
Sewer,
water.
Yep, sewer.
Okay, little extra tax.
General bond retirement, these are our debt payments. I'm just gonna fly through them. That one in Twin Creeks, like we said, will be paid off this next year. Street sweeper is 5 years, we're in year 3 on this next budget. And water. So our water revenue is pretty steady, we haven't had a rate increase. We will be seeing volume here, these numbers could go up. I don't have enough data yet to estimate it, and I don't like to put revenue in that I don't know. But I do believe if this comes up with the new homes, we'll be able to come back and add that to the budget. So anticipating a little over $1 million in revenue, expenses are the wages, everything down here, other than what we've tried to cut and reduce, is pretty typical running the water plant. The debt for the actual water treatment plant will just have one more debt payment, and that one will be done too. So instead of the 200,000 a year, we're down to 110. That does still look like it's using fund balance, and that balance is very low.
Question,
Yes, sir.
are we still paying for the water tower to be serviced?
We will every year, pretty much perpetually.
And that's,
It's about 50-some thousand
yeah,
now.
that's what I was thinking.
It used to be 110 through the first 7 years
Right,
of the contract, but now it's 50,000 a year, and they paint, do all that stuff.
and they still inspect the inside of it?
Every
Okay.
year.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you,
Go ahead,
ma'am.
Dan.
When's the last time we had a rate increase on it?
I think it's been almost 3 years.
Yeah. So,
We,
where are we compared to our counterparts?
so if you were to compare us, we're, I think, the 4th highest in the Dayton region. Yellow Springs, the city of Piqua, because they just built a plant, both those guys did that. Jefferson Regional, it's just off the top of my head, there's one other than there's us. We're over $10 a thousand. What we're hoping for and really pushing is new residents, higher efficiency for the plant, and then this is the last half of payment for the year. And in 2027, that it's it's 217,000 that we won't be paying on that loan. And right now with the developments coming in, we still have room for more developments. Now if a brewery wants to come in and needs 500,000, I don't have it, but you know, I do have that.
Now, do the hookup fees that we charge for the new homes go into this?
Not into this fund, they go into another water capital fund.
Okay.
So everything that they pay on a water tap fee and a sewer tap fee goes into a completely different fund. So again, we used to use operating to upgrade a pump. Now we will go down to that tap fee fund and upgrade that pump with that.
Thank you.
Under the wastewater, revenue also on that one is pretty steady. The last rate increase was last year, I think we're done now with what's on the list. Wages, operating expenses coming in, I have to say capital, wastewater. Looks like technology technology upgrades and roof replacements for the capital wastewater. And it's a debt we did finish paying off the YMCA. It'll be this year was our last payment. We will not have any in 2026. That one has a nice positive. This is one of the nice funds that we see, and it's growing its fund balance. It is saving for plant upgrades as the new subdivisions all come into. So that's building nicely. Swimming pool, topic to talk about. If the pool opens, the estimated revenue, it's about $100,000 with no general fund transfer this year. And wages for payroll and the operating expenses would come in about $172 with no transfer because we still are using the fund balance that we put in this year to cover the shortage. So if the pool would operate next year with no fund balance from the general fund and support itself, you'd probably make it have maybe $20,000 at the end of this season. If not, and that doesn't open, this $94,000 goes back into the general fund. Cemetery lots, the only one I don't know is how much to estimate for the columbarium, so I put in hopefully the amount that we need to get back to the general fund. This number is in red because it could change. But with that, the sale of those coming in next year, and our wages and operating costs for the cemetery paying back, if we get those into the general fund, we keep about a $16,000 balance and our debt paid back. A lot of the years the cemetery does have general fund transfers in. We did it this year, we did it the year before, and the year before I had nothing this year. Just trying to get it, pay back what it owes and kind of start over. If you do want to talk about the pool, I'm going to take a break while you talk about the pool.
Okay. So the pool, probably one of the most difficult things to manage in the city, to be honest with you. Something that brings a lot of joy to a lot of people within our community. It's tough. It's tough to manage from the lowest level of a top lifeguard to the city manager. I understood. I watched the budget meeting from last year. It was let's do a 1-year deal here, see where we're at, and then we'd reevaluate at this time the following year. And here we are. So it's tough to be the city manager and live here and been raised here. God gave me a head and a heart because I need both of them. My heart says one thing and my head says another thing. I did reach out and look at just some outside business consultants and things of that nature. I'm really struggling with just the kick the can method. Eventually at some point we're gonna have to make some tough decisions. And I come in here with a theory saying, hey guys, it's time to batten down the hatches. Like, we got a lot to look forward to in 27 onward, but 26 needs to be a tight year.
Yeah.
And I have a couple asks, and this is one of my asks. And I'm going to propose to you guys to pause the pool operations for 1 calendar year, to give me an entire year to study the pool, to look at every single option possible, and then revisit this time next year in 2026 and give you guys some actual options. Some options that are going to change the trajectory of, or knowing that we're going to take a substantial loss. I mean, we just listened, Chief Trustee, and I mean, we can't even give, higher wages to our first responders, our guardians of our city, that we need in our most desperate time. It's really difficult for me to justify running a pool, taking a loss, when I can't adequately, fund my fire department. So what we'll talk about at the end when we get into salaries is I've given our executive level employees some very hefty objectives. I need manpower. The city needs manpower, and we don't have the money, so I have to work with what I got. And, you know, my union employees, I'm somewhat constrained. If I work them any harder or work them any more, it costs the city money. So that leaves my executive staff to be doing two people's jobs to be able to satisfy the needs of the city until we have the money and the revenue to be able to add the additional bodies. So I've tasked Ms. Lowry, as someone who's a residential expert of the pool for over a decade, to study the pool for 2026, and you know, sometime throughout the summer, I want her to present me with the options, so we have some time to talk together along with Colleen, and then sit back here at the table and give you guys some legitimate options. At least to stabilize is, to me, the standard. I understand most public pools don't make money, but I think New Carlisle is a little bit of a different type of community. I think we are a conservative town, and we're very prudent with our people's money. And so that is my ask, that is my proposal. I'm asking for 1 year pause on pool operations for 2026.
Any comment?
I do. How's about a day-by-day basis of using the pool? And that way, if it does break down, we can shut it down that day instead of shutting it down when it might be able to limp along. I don't know. Is that something you guys talked about?
I do.
It'll still cost the same.
Huh?
I don't think we can go on a day-to-day basis, maybe a week, but I think if you get into a day-to-day basis, you're tying up these people, and we're not getting things done.
Are you saying, Kathy, like, so we don't run into the problem we had this year where it was like, hey, we gotta move funds because we already worked these people and we don't have any funds to pay them type of thing?
No, I am saying you figure out an estimate of how much or whatever it costs per day to get in, and you just don't sell passes. Whoever comes in and buys gets to play that day, and whoever doesn't. But I mean, I don't see how you're having to pay out $100,000 for that to happen. That doesn't make sense to me. So explain that part to me.
Well, we still have to open and close.
You have to have a manager, right?
Well, this is the one thing that you see when you get behind the curtain, that we have really nice spreadsheets that outline what all of our cost is and everything else, but I promise you, there's more cost associated that you're just not seeing. The amount of time that's invested, just between me, Howie, and April, to run the pool, I mean, these are human resources. This is, you know, our citizens pay us a fair wage to run the city, and we dedicate tons of time.
It doesn't seem to me like you guys should be involved in that process.
There's nobody else.
It's our highest safety risk in our entire city.
I understand that,
the entire summer. And we have a part-time hourly wage manager that comes in a month before the pool comes to open. And it's nothing against the pool management, nothing. I mean, this is a colossal task. We, you know, are paying a fair wage but a low wage to run a major operation for 3 to 4 months, and then we shut it down. But the amount of time that Howie's water department has to, his street guys, you know, there's tons of employees within the city that are investing time, which is money, that they can be allocating towards the parks and to strategic plans for the city, you know, that we're taking away by just, you know, having to try to find a way to survive pool season. I don't like the idea of, you know, we open this thing up and we just, you know, with a wish and a prayer, hope that it, you know, makes it the year. It just, it makes me very happy as a city manager that I have young kids who are out there, you know, and all of them, you know, I got to know very well over the summer. We have some of the most upstanding young, you know, citizens that volunteer their time. But I got, you know, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, you know, working for the city. That comes at a certain level of risk. To be a government employee at 15, 16 years old. So I guess I'm just proposing to allow me to allocate that time, you know, even for my own staff, so we can circle the wagons, get above the clouds a little bit, see this from 30,000 feet, and see what all options are out there for us, because I have to have an answer. I hope you guys will, and I know you will, for 2027. I owe it to our community. This isn't we're shutting down the pool kind of conversation. It's just, I need to, pull from the battle line a little bit, regroup together as a team, and just figure out the best way.
That's fine with me. Go ahead, yes.
We last year, this council last year, said that we would give the pool one more year, and then we would shut it down to, at that time, I thought it was to shut it down permanently and then come up with another pool somewhere.
That's what I.
You're requesting only to shut it down for the season of '26, and then reevaluate with what Mrs. Lowry finds out, discovers or whatever in her research, and then possibly reopen the pool or go to the voters for a bond or something to build a new pool. Is that what I'm understanding?
No. Don is asking for our credence.
I know what Don's asking for, sir, but I was asking Don a question.
Well, basically, I'm going to answer it. He's asking for the time to know what is going on at the pool. We're planning on keeping it open for this year so that we can see where we're going from there. Given his time, he's going to turn around and see where, at that point, we go. Am I not correct?
Yes, I mean, I think both of you are saying very similar things. I'm not sure what the option is. I don't like saying that to you as your city manager. But when your head's in the middle of the storm and you're just, praying that, some kid doesn't get hurt, or we don't have a major crack in the pool, or I'm not, working, my staff to, the bone. I'm just asking for a 30,000-foot view of this thing for 1 year, and I promise, I trust Mrs. Lowry and her strategic analysis expertise of the pool to be able to see. I'm not sure, I don't want to throw out something, but, do we move the pool to another location? Do we look at a commercial sponsorship? We have a lot of minutia with that land, the gazebos that we put on it, we have obligations, so it's just not an easy fix. But I think if we could just have 1 year to sit back on this, because I think eliminating, something that has been, a storied part of our community for over 60 years, I mean, this is a colossal decision. To say New Carlisle, one of the last outliers of having a city pool, no longer has a city pool. I'm not ready to be that bold to say those types of things. I think the pool has, a tremendous impact to our youth. I've talked with our deputies about it. It gives, a lot of kids, have dual working parents a safe place, during the summer. And the other thing is I'm watching these massive developments happen right now, where I'm very, very hopeful that we're gonna have tons of new families coming in. And, the projected gains that we see just over the next year, I mean, we're talking over 100 houses, 200 houses that potentially could be built with new families coming in. And, for one of the developments at least, it's a bike ride away. The sidewalk connects, to Brubaker that leads right into the pool. So, some of this is, I just kind of want to watch to see what the developments do, the types of folks that are moving in, and see if, there is an option to keep it at the current location, or if we need to explore another location, talking about a splash pad. There's, commercial sponsorships, contracting a company to take it over. I mean, there's lots of different options that we can look at.
So basically, keep it open and have Mrs. Lowry oversee, right? Closed.
Suspend operations.
And then,
But
That's
not
what I
open.
thought.
that's what I thought.
I know,
Then-
that's what I thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They did a figure 10 on us.
I've been
I was
thinking all
right.
weekend
Okay.
about how I was gonna discuss this. I'm not looking to permanently, should have added that word,
Permanently.
not permanently close the pool, but just suspend the operations. So the pool will be,
This next year.
the gates will be
Yeah.
closed for 26.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I thought you meant. Okay, no, I took that right, I was just confused by what.
Well, that's what I got at
Mr. Cook
first,
said.
and then
I
it,
know, that's what I.
I don't know.
Okay,
I was paying attention in class,
Yeah,
I promise.
I actually think that's a great idea.
So do you need a motion for that, sir?
Well, may I add something to that? There's a couple pieces too to what Mrs. Lowry will do. I'll add my maintenance.
It'll never reopen.
There is a potential with that income coming from those homes, also potential for extra TIF revenue. So if there's any extra TIF revenue based on the property taxes coming in, you are allowed to use some TIF revenue for anything that helps that development, but can be citywide. So that also gives us an option to say, hey, how might this work? There's a potential for a down payment portion. There's potential for extra TIF revenue. There's a lot of potentials for this that may go, man, we could have done this a couple years ago, but we didn't have a down payment, or we don't want to go for a bond for 2 million, now we only have to go for 1.2. Just things like that. Now, I'm not saying 2 million is the number, but there's a lot of unknowns that could come in, and we could have a good solid foundation with this investigative piece and potentially having some savings. But I just wanted to put that out there. There is some pieces in this pipeline that are unknown on top of additional property tax. Monroe Meadows will pay property tax to the fire, to the street levy. As we know, D.R. Horton will not. The TIF revenues go back to pay that. Replacement levies, D.R. Horton residents there will pay that additional. Anything new, they will pay. So there is a lot of things that are coming about that this city has never seen or had to think about. And it's all happening in '26. So, but thank you for letting me just add that in there.
So are we gonna spend or earmark that other 100,000 for something, or are we gonna save it for a future pool?
I think we should earmark it. I'd lean on Colleen exactly to make sure that we got it in the right color of money. But I would like to pad the account.
Okay.
You know, essentially.
I would too, honestly, so.
I just think it's a prudent thing. I have all these analogies of, you know, if you're used to going to Cedar Point every year, you know, as a family, well, guess what? This year we're not going to Cedar Point, but next year we're shooting to go to Disney World. So, you know, I know everybody's disappointed we're not going to Cedar Point, but the hope is we're going to have an option that is hopefully, and I believe, going to be better than what the status quo is. And I think some of the irony in this is the year, I think April was 1958, the pool was built, during the last massive development stage of New Carlisle. So here we are once again, and, you know, so there's a lot of opportunities. That's where all kinds of things came into our community, was when, you know, we started, you know, to develop north of the lake. So, but as me and Colleen have agreed, you know, we have to be very conservative with what our projected gains are until we know what those gains are. So we know money is coming, we know what the houses are selling for, we know what debt to income ratio is to be able to qualify for these houses. But until we see that tax start dropping in '27, we'll get a little bit of it in '26 to get some ideas. But, you know, those are just measurements that I would like to have before I made a formal, you know, decision on, you know, the future of aquatics and New Carlisle.
I'm totally good with that, so.
So, I love the idea of keeping the money there. Sorry. I love the idea of keeping the money there. However, what if we took, this is just a suggestion or a possibility, we gave them an extra $40,000 because they ran out of budget this year at the pool, right? What if we took like $20,000 out of that to put it towards like the baseball field or Heritage of Life? Just an idea.
Or just next year?
Nobody killed me. Yeah, for next year.
So I'm gonna chime in just a little bit too.
Sure.
So the balance here that we're projecting at the end of this year really is the 90,000 that's general fund put in.
Okay.
So there really isn't. And if we're gonna keep that and we're gonna delete the revenue.
Okay.
We're gonna delete most of the expenditures, there'll still be utilities a little bit. I don't know if there's any maintenance that would happen while it's shut down.
No, there's usually not. We do have to keep some utilities on, because if you now, like the ballpark, if you disconnect utilities, you have to pay for full-blown inspections again. That used to not be the case, but so that's why we have to keep it running year-round.
So this will come over in that fund, nothing added to it, very little taken out of it.
Okay.
Should be maybe like, I don't know, maybe 80,000 to 90 should be the ending after the suspension. So we don't have to put it back to the general fund, but you want to, keep it just to have it to start back up.
Sure. Also, I was looking at the revenue when I said that, so I was in the wrong section. My apologies.
I know, because I'm like, all days.
It's not gonna let you postpone that.
And let's go real
You wanna
quick.
take a break?
At least it's tucked in the corner.
Okay, we'll stay.
Go ahead, Mike.
And just real quick, I mean, I don't know what you guys talking about. Oddly enough, I agree with what you're suggesting. It scares me for two reasons. I mean, you close the pool, there's a good chance it's never gonna open again. It's so old, it's lived its life, by
Yeah.
far. It also scares me for the fact that we've got two housing developments coming in. That sets a bad signal for the fact that, hey, we're building a house in this town and all of a sudden you're shutting down the pool. I mean, it looks a little scary, and it could set a bad taste in the new home buyer's mouth. But at the same time, I think if you guys step back and what you're saying is, and you guys all get together, all of you get together and look at a good approach for how you could move forward, it could be a huge step forward in the right direction. So even though it makes me nervous to say I agree with it, I do. Not that it matters what I think, but I'm just saying.
That's what April tells us.
Dan.
I mean, I don't know if it would save, how about a Thursday through Sunday schedule? When you give the citizens and the kids something to do on the weekends.
You're still burning chemicals without.
I know.
Yeah.
Just like premises, but I don't know if it would work.
Yeah, labor.
Yeah, we run into, and April might be able to say this, it's scheduling.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
And
huge
you also,
part,
I mean,
yeah.
and this spring and summer was one of the wettest in our history. Ohio, I think it was the fifth wettest spring and summer in Ohio. We saw it at the ballpark too.
Yeah.
My concerns is like Michael's, twofold. One, history shows once you close it, the odds of it opening is slim, and the cost to reopen is going to be even more. Because as it sits dormant, the equipment starts to, and then, like Michael, piggyback off of him, you're asking people to build $300,000 homes, and you're taking away something that their kids may or may not be looking forward to. And I understand the risk. The risk has always been there, Donnie. I mean, I worked at the pool in the 90s. We had I was a 15-year-old lifeguard, a 16-year-old lifeguard, 17. You're never going to get away from the risk of unfortunately having kids supervising other kids. But that's every pool. That's even Kings Island has 18-year-olds as lifeguards. I look at the pool like I look at a library. I don't ask the library to make money. I think the pool is a community service. I think it's there to serve the community. Yes, you don't want it to lose $90,000, but you also don't expect it to turn profit every year, especially something like that that's dependent on weather.
No, I appreciate it. This isn't an easy.
No, I know.
I get what you're saying, but the thing is we went through several decades where the city did not invest in the pool. So we've been digging out, and I know you know that. But the other thing is I was also at the pool in the 90s, and you probably were the one that was watching me while I was playing in the pool, because you're a couple of years older than me. But how many people did you know in the 90s that had a pool out back?
Not many.
So it's an ever-changing market, and as much as I love nostalgia and I want to keep things, and I think we do a really good job at that. It is something that we need to study and understand the market, because the infrastructure of the pool, it is literally holding our breath to see, are we going to make it? And so I get what you're saying, though, and I'm totally open to whatever council's decision, but just from a management perspective, it's just a hard thing to just say, well, let's just kick the can for one more year. And then eventually this thing's gonna implode.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna have a major financial cost where I'm gonna have constituents looking at us like, how long did you know that this was going to happen? And that's, I'm just trying to brace for impact, collect ourselves, and then, also pad our account a little bit. We're paying off massive debt right now. We have revenue streams that are coming in. And I just wanna get a handle on that stuff before we make a final decision. But I will say that I want this time next year to be, a final decision, that this shouldn't be such a contentious issue. I talk about, local politics in New Carlisle is, are you pro pool or are you against the pool? Are you pro chicken, are you against the chicken? That's the kind of stuff, in a way, it shows the health of our community. We're that invested that, we aren't, worried about rabid crime that's happening and, different things. Of course, things that we could always improve and we need to be, to maintain, but, if this is the biggest thing that is gonna prevent somebody from wanting to move into our community, it's a risk that I'm willing to take.
Anybody got anything else?
So do you need a motion, sir?
We just have to approve the budget, right?
And you want us to change it, some of the expense and revenue?
Yes. So I think maybe consensus, because we're gonna adjust the budget. So if there's a consensus of council of what I've proposed, then we'll make those adjustments.
Is there consensus then?
I'm good with
I
that.
think everybody's nodding.
You can't clear out the entire bill, you're still have some maintenance, right?
That's revenue.
Sorry.
You probably, just put about like 500 in equipment. Facilities could be, we develop some sort of roof issue, something that we might have to fix, some insurance thing, somewhere you might have to do something. Yeah, so,
I know when they heat the pool in the spring, it really jacks that number up. How about chemicals?
well, what we can do is adjust it. We can pull a bill from December, January, February of what the electric is on our building during that time frame, because it'll be the same thing.
Just get this close to get a little bit better idea.
Mr. Kiko, will the pool be completely drained the whole time, or do you have to keep water in there?
Water is set by the water table. There's a negative pressure relief valve that's in the deep end. On purpose, it has to hold water, else that pool could pop up out of the ground.
Oh.
In the deep end only, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, no. It holds about 8 foot of negative water pressure, so, which is 4 or 5 pounds, doesn't sound like much, about 3 pounds. But yeah, if there was no water in the deep end and you get any kind of excess water, heavy rain, yeah, it could potentially pop it.
Wow.
That's why you always see water in the deep end.
Hydraulics are amazing.
Let's put it at a 23,000 on expenditure. That should be, we can fine tune it, but just to get, that would end, maybe around 71,000 still in the.
What'd you say?
Does that sound?
And we can make another adjustment once we look at the bills, just to see
And
what.
then send them all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only ones we have
How bad,
left are
Mom?
the waterworks capital improvement. This is where the
Go
question
out.
about the water tap is.
Can't do anything.
We've been getting
Oh, you should go.
we, should hit 60 next year. And also, we've got a pretty good, this is our budget for this year, but we've already exceeded it, so that revenue increase there too, along with the.
It skips one or so before you get to wastewater.
The other one, you're hitting about 50,000 for next year, but I think we're at, about 70,000 this year. So we're gonna have some good fund balance in these two capital, from the cabinets with the new units. Government center still have the 25,000, if the general fund transfers in. If this other building opportunity comes around, there is 200,000 that can be, that is in that fund, that would help pay for architects or inspections. And I think the only other one we didn't talk about was the street lighting. That's been a pretty steady, it's an assessment amount, and it's based on the square footage of the properties for the street light. We have not had an increase on that for years, but we've been holding steady on the expense, and our fund balance is staying about the same, so.
It's really good.
So we kind of flew through some of them very quick, but that is the draft budget. Is there any areas you'd like to rotate back to with questions?
Real quick on street lighting. As you guys are aware, through the whole last 4 years of project development, the street lights, decorative street lights out on Main Street will be looking a lot different. ODOT did award the contractor to get those retrofitted. They will be going back to like an old school lantern style. They will be LED. There'll be a 3,000 Kelvin. What you see out there is about 2,700. It's warm. They're going to go a little bit brighter, be a little bit wider, but they won't be the 4,000 or 5,000, which is the daylight stuff. So I don't know if it's going to be put in before winter time, but just shortly after, you'll see. I think give them a year to do this. I've already heard the contractor can complete this in like less than a month, because all they're doing is changing the fixtures out. But
Is there any possible way of fixing or replacing the street lights at Jefferson and Church?
So
they all three talk together?
So traffic signals. So that is a project this year to add again, because for many years that signal is unwarranted. Which unwarranted means it is on a federal approved route, which is Church Street. I can apply for federal funding, CPG, TIP funding to improve those, just like I did the others. However, because currently it was unwarranted, I can't get those monies. So it all has to come out of city funds. Yes, the city could go and buy them alone, but those two signals together were about 600,000, so it'd be about 300,000 to replace that street light setup. All new poles, all new coordination equipment, things like that. So I'm going to look at a new traffic study here in '26 to see if it has changed any, and see if they go to a warranted. If it does go warranted, then you're probably looking at, by the time I apply for some funding, you're probably looking at 4 years out to replace them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Howie, are those gonna be, easily replaceable? Cause I know the ones that we had, weren't able to replace the surround of them. So now we have mismatch.
Yes, the GE Torch 2, which was started in 2005, was out for about 5-6 years, and they had plenty. Now what you're seeing is, it's non-glass. It's they just discontinued this. Can't get a hold of it. The new lantern style is been available and is still ready available. It is a very popular lantern fixture. Nothing about it is fancy.
Okay.
There's nothing really decorative about it. So we went that kind of neutral way to hopefully, like anything else, we get to replacement. And what we might do, because it is a lot cheaper than those Acorn globes, a lot cheaper, we may go in-house and just buy an extra some if we start seeing it discontinued.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Are those the ones at Tip City?
Very similar. Tip Cities have lenses. Ours will have just the LEDs up in the inside with a comfort lens, but in a ladder, what they used to call the old ladder that they use to change. Well,
On that same topic, could we look at getting streetlights going down Jefferson? I think it would look really pretty.
We've discussed that. I am looking into, when they open up TIP applications again, which is applying for the federal funding. I think is at the end of this year, 26, or it's beginning of 27, that you can apply for those type of funds.
And then I add them on out past the store too, out to the new plat. That would be nice, up to 35.
They are expensive.
I know.
They run about 9,000 to 10,000 a pole.
But grants are great.
Huh?
Grants are great.
The grant used to be near 100%.
Mhm.
Then it went 80-20. I'm thinking 70-30. So we got 99 poles at about 10,000 apiece.
Mhm.
We didn't pay for that then, but just think about what that cost. So
Yeah.
when I applied for the funding, it and the federal government says we have $10 million, and it's Clark County, Springfield, me, Ian, everybody's got to go fight for it.
Right.
But when that time comes, it was talked about to try and add some more decorative lighting.
Good. Thank you.
That all kind of feeds into this, and I know we're talking about, extending, north and westward. But, pretty big project that I put on Howie and Brian about the revitalization of our historic
Mhm.
area. So one of the objectives that Brian has is declaring, certain districts or the entire historic district a historic district that is
Yeah.
registered, and then tap into even additional grants and funds.
Awesome, that'd be great.
Because it's not registered right now. We did get some information over the summer that, there is a way to do it without a Chamber of Commerce, and that's the, so we can get some of these additional funds.
Good.
Dan, did you have something else?
Is there lighting in the new, when we approved the lighting, is there street lighting out in the new two developments?
There is. Miami Valley Lighting does them. Once they're all completed, then they'll get turned over to us. And those are all metered. Where ours are not, we pay a flat fee. Those will all be metered. And then we will have the poles, then the HOA or the organization will cover the electric. It's a different setup.
Go ahead, Mr. Vaughn.
Under council expenses, I see we got 6,000 in there for our strategic planning council retreat again this year. Is that for next year, I guess? Is that something we need, or were we planning on that, or? I hadn't heard any discussion on it, but.
What, could we use that for our comprehensive plan and things like that? Or is that just for?
Do you think we need it?
That's what I would
I
thought.
don't think so.
I don't think we need it next year. If we're going scorched earth, then.
How's it going that far?
I don't know, the city manager, he's brand new, so I don't know,
I don't think that's going to fly a lot of the cuts that I'm looking at.
Kind of want to follow.
No, I think that is one thing that I'm
Down,
trying to do.
just calm down.
And I know we'll have time to give me an evaluation and next year. But just trying
Let it go.
to have constant dialogue
It's not
with you
that long.
guys. All, I understand the forum limitations. Having a full retreat gives us, all 8 of us at the table together. But my plan is to maybe avoid that cost, is to just continue more of the same. Keeping you guys abreast of, all the different happenings going on in the town, and doing these soft touches, before, we come into, meetings where we have tough decisions and things. So, I have to look at, our personnel and our time is the most valuable resource right now. And I don't want to be heading down a path that I know that you guys don't want me to go on, because then I'm just wasting the taxpayers' dollars. So that, I guess, I think, within the limitations of, having quorum and things, continuing, lunches with the mayor and vice mayor, and just having as much dialogue with you guys, will hopefully keep us on the same sheet of music like we have the last 7 months.
What's the train and travel and transportation involved?
Usually there's conferences that are available for your training and.
Can we
compare on the city.
OML.
What's it called? That goes on mine,
conference,
yeah.
You know, things of that nature. I guess it's up to you guys. I mean, if you guys feel that this is fruitful for you all to attend, whether individually or collectively, I'm happy to, I think we are subscribers of the OML, the Ohio Municipal League, so we can keep pumping those emails and different things as opportunities come up. But again, this is, you know, kind of a reset year for us. So unless you guys feel that it's a necessity, I'd probably recommend.
Go
I
ahead,
just want to
Dan.
chime in. The problem with cutting it, and if you need it, you gotta go back in and get it into it. So having it in there and not using it doesn't hurt. Having it not in there and needing it is what'll hurt. I had more time to cut it, have to go back in, have to, you know, then you have to pass either an ordinance or something to add it back in. So, you know, it's just a number. You know, just because it's there doesn't mean you gotta spend it.
And
It's there to protect you, not for you to go spend it. It's there to protect you in case you spend it.
I had a question, I just need a clarification. So we're doing a new hire of a part-time staff for planning board, and we're going to full-time for a part-time staff on planning board. Did I hear that correctly or not?
No, we'll have two part-time.
Two part-times and then a
We're gonna
$20,000.
elevate our
Truck.
current, if you all are okay with it.
Right, yeah.
I'll elevate the responsibilities of the
Mhm.
current part-time. And then we'll come in more on entry-level code enforcer that will be mainly taking care of, you know, the tall grass and, you know,
Right,
those
sure,
types
that's
of-
fine. I just kind of wanted to clarify in my head.
I'm sorry.
Whether it
No
was.
full-time code enforcer.
No
that was-
full-time,
Can I
just
add
two.
to
Yeah,
this?
please, Brian.
So 30% of my workload right now is code enforcement.
Mhm.
So that means I'm doing the abatements for grass and weeds. I set up the contract with the vendors. I have to collect that. I have to do invoicing for that. So I collect the invoicing from the vendor who does our abatements. I have to do an invoice for the city and send that out. So, and then there's the mayor's court side of things for, you know, non-compliance. So 30% of my workload can be passed on to Ray, who's well qualified to do that side of code enforcement. But if I shift that to him now, then he's gonna lose 30% of his workload to do that. So properties are not gonna be as well maintained as they are now. Adding another code enforcement frees up that 30% for me. And I know we talked this past year about $100,000 for a comprehensive plan, $100,000 for a code rewrite. I could use my 30% to start working on that code rewrite and work on focusing on doing that in-house. So you'll be saving $100,000, $200,000 by allowing me to open up my 30% in 2026, so I could focus on the code rewrite and moving towards that comprehensive plan. And the investment would be the whatever's in the code enforcement budget from mayor's court. I think it was, what, 55,000 for wages, but that includes the magistrate and the clerk, correct? And then the $20,000. So you would be saving probably, what, $60,000 by bringing in a code enforcement and another vehicle.
Yeah, I got that. So we are buying a dump truck too and splitting it between 4 groups? Okay. So those are really the only things we are increasing our budget on. Is that true too?
With some salary increases.
And there are some salary increases after all those raises last year? Is that what we're getting ready to look at?
If they're done with the other, I wanted to show you two real quick, Kathy. There's your playground equipment that you asked for.
I can't see it, I'm sorry.
What's it under?
There's 50,000 in that capital for parks,
Awesome, yes.
so yes.
Well, I'm very thankful for that. I appreciate that, because I would hope our, thank you. I appreciate that.
Is there anything else?
Was you gonna talk on the wages?
Yeah, do you want to do the wages now? Do you mind?
Oh, showing them.
Hey, that's a whisper. Chicken pot pie.
Can't really see that, but.
I didn't see it either. Yeah.
So I am looking at, to be honest with you, one of the additional positions, since we were talking about additional positions, is both Colleen's office and my office need more help. April is not my secretary. April is an extension of me. With the type of deals that we're working, the level, working with Brian on a comprehensive plan and code rewrite, this hasn't been done for over a decade. So, these, my typical day-to-day operational type things, I've had to lean on Ms. Lowry, quite a bit to be able to get above the clouds to, the strategic level of management. I did bump my salary, but we don't need to talk about that tonight because you guys can not renew my contract in a couple months. But that's what I feel that you're gonna have to be ready to hire somebody if God forbid something happens to me or you guys decide to go in another direction in '26. When it comes to Howie, Howie's doing two people's jobs. So part of this is we could talk about everything that Howie does and the amount of money that he brings into the city and saves the city, but Howie has been very transparent with me that he's getting to the latter part of his career. So we need to start preparing ourselves as a city and start allocating money that when Howie leaves, it would be my recommendation today that you hire a service director and an assistant city manager. I think having him dual seated, he is a one-of-a-kind guy who has invested over 2 decades into our city and has the institutional knowledge and the wherewithal to be able to balance that. But I think when we look 5 to 10 years into the future, with a city at least at the size of 10,000 people, you're going to need an assistant city manager and a full-time service director, along with somebody who, because that's my other thing that I've said to the staff, we cannot have a single point of failure on the staff. Whoever is behind you, you need to be training them up. And wherever you're at, you need to be looking up to the next guy in the line. Because I can't, paralyze the city because we have one person who's really good at this stuff and life happens, and then now I have this massive void within our city. So I did project, I believe, is that an 8% or 7% raise for Howie. The next is, I can't even see.
I can't see any of those.
Yeah.
Do we have that?
Blow that up a little bit, or?
The next one is the new.
You can zoom it by holding down control and then scrolling your mouse up. Hold control and then use your mouse wheel. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You can do it again, too.
Do it some more. Do some more.
I haven't did the corner, but my,
So what we're looking at is our executive managers, from myself all the way down to Brian. So they are the only ones who are not getting just the typical projected 2.5 raise. So, I talked about Howie, the next one on the list is April, and we've talked, it's gonna cost me $20,000, $30,000 just to hire a consultant to study the pool. That is gonna be something she's gonna do today. And April is, quite honestly, hitting above her weight class. I depend on her every single day, and I believe that part of this, she just deserves it. She is working well beyond 40 hours a week. She's managing our social media right now, and keeping me straight, which takes a lot. So the next one on the list is Colleen. Colleen has also been very transparent with me that she's getting into the latter portion of her career. And one of the things that we talked about, to be able to have this much institutional knowledge and hire a new finance director off the street, you're gonna want at least a CPA that's got some experience, and we gotta get closer to the market value. I know you guys did the salary comparisons and everything else last year, and I know the staff didn't ask for this, by the way. This is something that I felt, I need bodies, but because we can't afford bodies right now, all I can do is push my executive managers harder, and in turn, I would like to give them a comparable wage for the objectives that I'm tasking them with. The other thing, which is a hard thing, I'm not saying we don't have a balanced budget, but we got to change the trajectory of where our budget's at moving forward. So with Colleen's raise, that is one of the objectives. Is we got to figure this out. We need to look at our investments. And tidy up our accounts the best that we can, so when we're sitting here this time next year, I hope we're all in the black in every single department. The next one is Colleen Ray. Colleen Ray is quite honestly serving as the backup finance director. Ms. Harris does have a life outside of the city of New Carlisle and needs to take vacations And Colleen Ray has, Miss Harris took her longest vacation of her entire career, she told me. And young Miss Ray had to step up and serve as the finance director. And again, with developments are going on, this isn't 2023. The complexity of our finance department is getting more difficult. So I thought it was prudent to give her, a higher bump as well. And then, with Brian, I need a planning director. And not saying that Brian isn't a planning director, but Brian is so deep into the weeds of code enforcement and quite honestly, the lack of code enforcement that we had for decades in this town. We're gonna be digging out of a hole for a while. And he wanted a full-time body. I think ideally he would like 2 full-time bodies. But, my concession is, can I give him a little bit of a bump? Get a couple part-time guys until we can pad our accounts for 27, and maybe convert one of those into a full-time. So I guess in 5 minutes, that's my pitch.
So now it says, if I'm reading it right, that everybody's getting a 2.5% raise is your
All the
choice.
union, from Cindy down, are
Okay.
locked in with your union contract. Then Brian, Colleen Ray, and myself are at 5%, and then,
Where does it say that somewhere?
well, I have it on that.
Okay.
Sorry. Is Howie and April are increased, set by the city manager, other managers are 5%, the union employees are at 2.5%. That's the projection.
I guess the other thing, I'm sorry, I know I talked a lot, but I told a few of you, I don't think I told all of you, it's difficult to be an at-will employee. You get a lot of protection as a union employee. And for me, Howie and Colleen, it takes 4 of you to say your services are no longer required. The other thing is me, Colleen, and Howie, we make a bad decision or an incorrect decision, I don't have to worry about being just terminated. I worry about going to jail. So we're playing high-stakes poker at the executive level. And, the same thing with April. I mean, all it takes is, as an at-will employee that's serving as the assistant to the city manager, to say, you know what, I think we're gonna go in another direction. So just, there is delineation between, executive employees, not only, working for flex time and comp time, not being eligible for overtime. Many of our union employees are making more than this, than what the standard wage is, because they qualify for overtime. So I have some union employees that are making as much, if not more, than some of my executive staff right now.
But I'm still not clear, 'cause so you said you and her would be sharing a part-time staff?
So this one right here, city manager and finance was requesting one full-time employee that we share. That person.
How does that work? You're in 2 different
They're based
buildings.
at my building.
Yeah.
So my part of that responsibilities will be helping with the front. Because the increased traffic has been a lot for just our one counter. So
Right.
those duties that the manager has for that person would be a lot of the records retention and other agenda things.
Council packets, the banner program for veterans. I mean, April was touched, and she's a backup to the admin office. If they go down in Manning, I lose April. So we both wanted a full-time employee, but then again, with me making the concessions and ask in other areas, I just didn't think it was prudent, to hire 2 more full-time workers on the admin staff. So what our hope is we'll have them kind of split duties. Also our records need a lot of attention. I know this working in the legal field for a very long time. You're worried about your next case, you get through the case, and then it's on to the next case. And records are something that's just easy to fall through the cracks, that have major, repercussions if you're not maintaining the records that, we are audited every single year. So what we are hoping is we give them kind of a broad span of responsibilities and see which department they work the best in. And then when we're here next year, we'll revisit it. Either it's a perfect balance, it satisfies both of our needs, or doing very well in the finance admin world, we may want to, go for more of a traditional secretary, at and the other thing is we might be moving buildings again.
All right.
So, now consolidating our forces into one building, I would like to have a year seeing if that helps with our efficiency and, manpower, because I'll be able to visually see, like, holy crap, Colleen's department is really busy today. Let's all, see if we can go hands on deck, to help her out, and then vice versa.
So 3 part-time staff, a dump truck and a truck, right? I'm just trying to get the
Additional part-time code enforcement.
one, okay, yeah.
One full-time that we split.
Okay, a full-time you
So
split.
one full and one, or the,
Okay.
to the existing.
With the dump truck and a used vehicle for the other code enforcer.
Right. Gotcha.
That's for the yes.
And did you send this to us so we can actually see it well?
It came probably later today, but
Okay.
now that we'll tweak that poll, I'll send this again.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
And then
that.
that way, if there's any more questions, you guys can get back, because
Okay.
we kind of fly through some of it.
Yeah, and, yeah.
Newer.
And these wage numbers are in the
They are
budget
right
wage
now.
numbers that we got for 26.
So, and anything that changes over here, or any of the benefits on the other side that changes, all gets automatically put into the budget.
All right, I'm assuming that we got through this budget, so we do not need tomorrow night's meeting.
Unless, at your pleasure, Mr. Mayor, if you would like to have another meeting, we'll prepare for that.
Anybody got anything else for tonight?
Veto tomorrow.
As well. Aye.
Then I need a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove. Yes. Councilman Bond,
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Rizzi.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Emerson.
Yes.